Well, hello. Hope everybody out there is having a good time, having a good day, having a good week. JV wins, Dogon SS. We are here once again for another live stream on YouTube from the Conscious Approach channel. Thank you to everybody for checking us out, tuning in, subscribing to the channel, hitting the like button, leaving those comments, all that good stuff. You are, of course, very much appreciated. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Conapproach, CONAPPROACH. And you already know the protocol, man. Hit all of the requisite buttons if you are so inclined, if you feel as though you are receiving value from the content that we distribute throughout the channel. Also, check out some of the prior content in the library on the channel as we continue to publish more and more. We've dropped a lot of jewels over the past several years that we have been doing this. So even though a lot of those stories are old news, they are relevant nonetheless because we try to have societal conversations using a lot of these stories as the backdrop for them. So check out some of those previous stories, man. We do kick the tires around a lot. So we're very proud of what we do over here, man. So thank you to everybody who's been checking us out. But we're going to go ahead and get into the show today. First thing that we are going to check out is someone who we have discussed on the channel previously. At the last time that we talked about her, she was the girlfriend of Travis Hunter, but they have since become husband and wife. They are now married, and so now they are husband and wife, and the wife of Travis Hunter, who goes by the name of Leanna. I think her last name is Lene. I think her maiden name is Lene, something like that, I believe. But her name is now Hunter. So Leanna Hunter. She's not a friend of the channel, but we have discussed her in the past because of how viral that she has gone for some of the body language that people have observed on her part. And the internet does what the internet does, trying to pick apart things for the purposes of internet consumption. In the past, she has exhibited what the internet has perceived to be poor body language on her part. And they've used that as a springboard to talk about whether it's a good idea for Travis Hunter to lock himself in with this woman. But of course, that's a moot point because they are now married. Now, the reason that we are talking about her now is because she posted a video online on social media in which she discussed the protocol for wives and girlfriends of NFL draftees, the proper behavior to adhere to if you are an NFL WAG during the draft process. Now, a lot of this on her part is tongue-in-cheek, and she is being sarcastic, to say the least, as a way to sort of tongue-in-cheek respond to the way that she received certain treatment when she was going through this situation at the time when Travis Hunter was a prospect in the NFL draft. So this says Travis Hunter's wife, Leanna, shares girl advice for NFL WAGs ahead of draft week. Travis Hunter's wife, Leanna Hunter, has shared some crucial girl advice for the wives and girlfriends of NFL hopefuls in time for draft week. On April 22nd, Leanna, who married the Jacksonville Jaguars cornerback last May, held their infant son in a TikTok before imparting some advice to wives and girlfriends. Leanna sarcastically went on to tell ladies not to stand up too fast because then you're trying to make it about you, but also don't stand up too slow because then you're bored and you don't want to be there. Leanna continued by warning women against crying out of the risk of being seen as dramatic before explaining the contradiction of being perceived as a gold digger. She also discouraged hugging partners before their mothers get the chance. After listing off more words of advice, Leanna ended by hilariously telling women it might be better if they just don't go. The 24-year-old has previously been criticized about her presence during Hunter's career milestones, like when she didn't immediately stand up after the NFL star won the Heisman Trophy in 2024. Social media users also exposed Leanna's past as a model in a music video, after which many attempted to talk Hunter out of marrying her. Hunter would defend Leanna before temporarily deactivating his social media accounts. Earlier this year, Hunter displayed his devotion to his new family by revealing a tattoo of his wife and son's faces on his chest. All right, so here's Miss Leanna dispensing her wise words of wisdom in terms of what to do and not do when you are the wife or girlfriend of an NFL draft prospect. So let me see real quick because I might have to refresh this. Okay, so I'm actually going to back out here. So I'm gonna remove that. Stop that one, and then I'm gonna share. I'm gonna share this one. All right, so here's this wise advice from somebody who went through this process.
For girls. I see a couple girls like doing advice for girls who are about to go to the draft. So here's my advice. Don't get in the camera, because if you get in the camera like too much, you are an attention whore and you want this to revolve around you. But also, don't avoid the cameras and like sit down and try to dodge the cameras, because then you don't care about your boyfriend or fiance or husband, and supposedly other people are going to tell you to sit up when really you're just trying to hide from cameras. Number two, don't stand up too fast, because then you're trying to make it about you. But also, don't stand up too slow, because then you're bored and you don't want to be there. Don't hug him before his mom hugs him, because then that's wrong and his mother should hug him first. But also, hug him before his mom, because then it's going to look like someone's trying to tell you to go hug him when really you were just trying to let their mom hug them first. Don't cry, because if you cry, then you're dramatic. But also, if you don't cry, then you don't care about him and you're just there for money. Don't wear heels, because
Brother.
to her and your man carries you, then you're trying to make it about you. But also, if you don't wear heels, then you're classless. So don't smile too much, because if you do, then they're going to think that you are just there for money. But also, don't forget to smile, because if you're not smiling, then you're miserable and you actually hate him and you're just with him for money. Cheer for your man, because that's important. And if you don't, then you'll get hated. But also, don't cheer too much, because if you do, you're doing too much and you'll be hated. And that's all. So actually, just don't go. I see a couple.
All right.
Wow.
So yeah, that's her advice. At the end of the day, she just says don't go. Now clearly she's being very sarcastic. She's satirically, making fun of the way she feels as though she was treated when it was her in that position and Travis Hunter was being drafted. Is there any validity to the way that she conducted that video there with her advice?
The only validity that exists with that video is that that's her point of view, and what the streets say, that's her truth. And that's just as far as it'll go for me. That's your truth. Go ahead. But the whole world saw what they saw, and was it at some point did it just become content? It did, but it has to be something to it. It has to be some smoke going on in order for the content to actually take off. It wasn't just because it was Travis Hunter. It was because it was Travis Hunter with this girl exhibiting these types of behaviors. And this video is honestly no different from the attitude that we've seen any other context. This is the gaslighting she does to Travis. So she's trying to bring it to the internet as if I'm supposed to go for it. I'm not going for it. All of that deflection and all of these things. I saw what I saw. I saw Travis Hunter having moments that were the biggest moments of his life, leading up to the draft, doing what he has to do, taking pictures and stuff. And he's got to run over there and console her while she's over there tapping her feet like she's been there all day, and he's got to deal with that, while he's big time athlete trying to provide for her and future family, legacy and all of this other stuff. That should be tier one. That should be priority one, I would say, if they were trying to have a sound relationship and a marriage and all that. But in those contexts, it was seeming as though she was putting herself first, because he would have to stop what he's doing to address her needs in that moment. So those moments where she's on the sideline over there, and he's got to console her, I don't see that in any other context. I don't see these athletes running out there because the old lady's over there halfway in tears because of whatever. So instead of being Heisman Travis Hunter, he's got to worry about what his old lady's doing. Is she having a breakdown? Is she tired? Is she bored? I got to do all that. Hey, man, you got money to make. You got a legacy to uphold. And so all of that taken away from him to pay attention to her, that's what the streets see. That's what everybody sees. And this video here is her tongue-in-cheek, sarcastic kind of way to make it seem like she's being misunderstood. No, I didn't misunderstand that. I didn't misunderstand that behavior. And that's just, to me, classic deflection, and she's trying to manipulate the internet. Like I feel like she manipulated Travis. So if it works for you at your house, Miss Hunter, if it works for you at your house, cool. If you run your house, cool. But you don't run the internet, and you don't run people that have a mind of their own. So if I honestly, I felt as though I was like, you know what? If I had a mind that was a little too lenient in these kind of contexts, like I didn't deal with my own narcissist in my life, then I would have been like, you know what? She does have a point. Plausible deniability stuff. I'm not going for that. I saw that attitude, and now I have an understanding about being on your mission. Travis Hunter is on his mission, and while he's out there slaying the saber-toothed tiger, here she is over there under the bush, whining and stuff, and he's got to address her needs while he's also trying to provide for her. It's too much. Know your role and shut your mouth, like The Rock says. Well, what are your thoughts, man, on this young lady? I forgot her name already. Well, what are your thoughts on her clapping back at haters with her sarcastic rant? What are your thoughts, bro?
So are we calling her, is she a jabroni?
She's a jabroni, bro. She qualifies. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man.
When we were in 12th grade, I think it was 12th grade, we were doing AP statistics. I think it was statistics, AP statistics, one of the other classes, but we were in Anthony Perno's class. Shout out shouts out to Anthony Perno, man, social studies teacher back in the early 2000s at American Senior High School.
Hysterical.
And we were doing review for we were taking a test, I think. And Anthony Perno's kind of surveying the room, and he sees me postured awkwardly, and so he's like checking me. He's like, hey man, listen, you can't be cheating. Like, I just caught you red-handed, man. You can't cheat on the test. Like, I just caught you, no cheating. And I told him, I was like, I wasn't cheating, man. I just, I got issues with my neck or whatever. Like, I got some pain, so I wasn't really cheating. I'm just positioned this way physically because I am experiencing some physical discomfort. And he was like, well, if that's the case, you really need to work on your posture, because if you position yourself like that, whenever you experience some discomfort, you're gonna run into some issues, because people are gonna think the same thing that I thought, which is you're up to no good, or you're cheating, or you're trying to skim the system or do something that you're not supposed to be doing. And I was like, noted, man. I appreciate the advice, Mr. Perno. Now here's the thing about that. He was right. I was cheating. I was cheating. So yeah. Now I gave him the excuse. I gave, I'm good with the word salad. I was light on my feet back then. I'm actually still pretty light on my feet when it comes to the words. So I gave him that explanation, and I made it seem plausible. But the truth is, his suspicions were correct, and I was cheating. The only reason why I bring that up is because she can talk like that all she wants, but this is something that is unique unto her. there have been hundreds, thousands of women in her position in the past who have been wives and girlfriends of dudes getting drafted. This is not something where women are just victims always being picked on for not knowing their place and not behaving right. This was something that was happening specifically to her because she was exhibiting weird behavior that people were picking up on and saying that is unbecoming of someone in that position to behave that way in that moment in time. Now, you might not like it, but she's going to have to get used to it because she is in the public eye and she is going to be subject to that level of scrutiny, especially when you're dealing with somebody who won a Heisman Trophy and was a lottery pick. It just is what it is. But this isn't she's making it seem like she's imparting these words of wisdom to other women on, because she's saying it as, make sure you do this and make sure you don't do that. But really what she's doing is saying, listen, this is what you're in for no matter what you do. So just get ready for it. As a woman who's a significant other of a guy getting drafted, right? That's really what she's doing. She isn't actually giving practical advice. What she's saying is, hey, ladies, get ready for it, because since you are the significant other of these guys, you're going to have to deal with this treatment. So just get ready for it no matter what you do. No matter how much you may try to avoid it, you're going to get it. You just be ready to be in for it. And of course, that's a misnomer, because how many women have been in that position presently and in the past? Thousands at this point. How many players drafted lifetime? Thousands, high thousands, hundreds of thousands of dudes have been drafted since the inception of the NFL draft. This is not something that is like widespread things that women deal with all the time. It's something that women like you have to deal with because at the very least, you're not necessarily doing the best job that you can do to manage your dispositions and your moods and your mannerisms in moments in which it matters most to be able to manage those things. And I am not the person who's sitting up here trying to suggest that he should or should not marry her. I'm not in their relationship and I'm not in their household. So I don't know. I'm not judging it on that level, but I will say that public dispositions and mannerisms and demeanor is something that you have to be mindful of in certain situations when you're front facing. And if you're going to downplay that because you feel as though you should be able to act however you feel, then you are going to at points adversely impact your husband when you go about the dealings of doing whatever you feel like you should be able to do in public. So it just is what it is, man. To me, this has less to do with like whether they should be together or whether he should have chose her or whether he should not be with her or not. Because again, I'm not in their household. I don't feel qualified to make those kinds of determinations. Rather, it is a referendum on how to accord yourself when you are front facing in certain situations publicly. That is a lesson that everyone should be mindful of, including her. And if this was something that all women have to deal with all the time, because woe is us as women and we always have to deal with these situations, then we'd see much more of this happening each and every year. But again, how many women have been the wife or girlfriend of a guy getting drafted? And not all of them are making these posts. The vast majority of them are not making posts like these. It's people like her who feel as though they're a consummate victim because deep down, she feels as though she should be able to do whatever she wants, whenever she wants. And that, of course, is not the reality that any of us live in. You cannot just do whatever you want, however you want, whenever you want. So even though she can sarcastically make posts like these, hopefully she gets that message, because if she doesn't, she is at some point going to cost him in some capacity. Now, how is she going to cost him if she doesn't pick up on that? Who knows? Only time will tell. But it is going to prove costly if she doesn't at least understand the importance of maintaining the proper amount of disposition and behavior when it comes to how you behave in public.
Yep, 100%, man. And hold on, I hear echo. Hold on. Yes, I hear echo myself.
There's no echo on my end.
Yeah, I can hear it. All right, it's gone. But yeah, so as far as that behavior of wanting to do whatever you want whenever you want type of thing, of course that has always existed, but I just feel like it's a lot more pervasive nowadays in both men and women. But this context here, I'm not here to tell Travis what to do. Before he got married, I was trying to throw stuff out there in the atmosphere. I'm not gonna lie, because I know he watches the channel. But I was just trying to throw it out there, bro. Hey man, just be on the lookout, man. But he was dead set on it, man. He thinks that this woman is special. And I would honestly gauge, like, if she can actually enhance his life, then I'm all for it. But I feel as though, like, what she got going on, all the drama, all the extra stuff, and I gave a couple of examples of him in his moment where he's taking the next step, where he's about to evolve and hit that next tier of not only income, but in his life career and his journey. And he has to address her. He has to turn her. I have never seen that. There's been cameras recording and taking pictures for decades. And as you mentioned, bro, thousands of dudes have gotten drafted. All right. Do we see pictures of the 1,000 people? No. But I've seen enough drafts live, NBA and NFL, to see that these were, I want to say, unique.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the other women that were there for the gold knew their role. They knew to play the position. You know what I'm saying? They doing the whole trad wife thing all up front. Yeah, he's got him a good one. They'll get divorced later for whatever reasons. But the front facing, as you mentioned, was professional. This is unprofessional gold diggery. And so I'm going to call it what it is. I don't care. Because she said it herself. This is why, and this is the thing. Those other women weren't creating content. They weren't coming out and making content saying, yeah, I left you on red until my brother told me who you was.
Right. Yeah.
Right. We got a track record. we have the thought facts. And it's online. You published it. So if people are sitting there looking at that and scrutinizing what you have said in the past and your current behaviors at those moments during a draft and, during his college football season, people gonna call that out. It was the perfect storm for this woman to be in the position that she's in, but she gave enough smoke signals in order to be in that storm in the first place. So I'm not going to sit here and feel sorry for you a year later because you got a baby and y'all got married and all of a sudden you Miss Wholesome at the house woman. No, woman, I done seen what you did. You was popping it in the video. I see what's going on. So if you reformed and you turned over and you gave yourself to Christ, I'm happy for you. But this little rant, this sarcastic rant, as if this always goes on. This is, like you said, this is it's annually, every year. The streets pick somebody to pick on. We don't do that. Mm-mm. And honestly, we didn't do that this year. It was honestly unique to her. So at some point you got to look in the mirror, but don't look in your phone, record it and upload a status. That's the wrong reflection to be looking at. You talking to the wrong people, lady. I ain't trying to hear that. So again, it works in your house. And I don't mean it's going to work on the internet. I'm not going for it. And that's why I was like, oh, brother, because, like I said, I done had my fair share of narcissistic people. All right. And it's something about how they talk that just irks my nerves because it's always about them. And that rant was all about her. It wasn't about helping other people. It wasn't about helping other women. It was all about trying to clear her name.
It was a backhanded way of saying this is how they treated me last year. That's all. Yeah, because where are the women this year who are dealing with this? There are none. This is something that is unique unto her, and she has. But one of those advents of the increased prevalence of narcissistic behavior is also the increased prevalence of lack of accountability, because individuals like this don't understand how to take a step back and take inventory on the role that they played and how certain things played out.
Exactly.
So she's not thinking about the videos that she posted, or the fact that Deion Sanders had to tell her to stand up when Travis Hunter was winning the Heisman Trophy. So like, these are things that don't happen all the time. That's the thing. Like, and again, I'm really not picking on her. I'm really trying to address this problem that I see with humans in general, with this victim mentality about the world keeps doing me wrong, even though you persist in exhibiting behaviors that create the situation that you're in. So like, no one told you not to stand up when he won his Heisman Trophy.
Mhm.
No one created a situation in which Deion Sanders had to tell you to stand up. Like, these are things that happened and everybody saw it. No one told you to sit next to him on a couch and talk about how you were ignoring him before someone told you who he was. Like, you did these things voluntarily.
Exactly.
So the internet is going to react to it accordingly. This is a Leanna thing. This isn't a women who are wives and girlfriends of players getting drafted thing, because throughout the history of the NFL draft, dudes get drafted all the time, and this doesn't happen all the time. It's happening because of certain things that you've done to add fuel to this particular fire.
Mhm.
So, that's the whole thing is, man, you have to accept, you have to understand the position that you're in. Like, this guy at this point is in the legacy building stages of his life. And there's a tremendous amount of responsibility that comes along with making those 60, 70, 80, 90 million dollars.
Yep.
And you're going to have to be okay. You don't have a choice. Either you can learn to accept it and do better when it comes to your behavior with it, or you can just leave the situation and not be the beneficiary. Right. But if you insist on being the beneficiary, you're going to have to accept certain things that you're going to have to adhere to behaviorally, and you can't just do whatever you want. But this response to me was her saying, I should be able to do whatever I want, and y'all are calling me out for not being able to do whatever I want, and this is how y'all are doing me wrong. The world, the internet. This had nothing to do with her advice, and it had everything to do with her once again getting on her soapbox and explaining how she was done wrong, because whether she stood up or not, she was in the wrong. Whether she hugged him first or not, she was in the wrong. And it's like, what is it that you're doing that's so unique compared to what every other woman in your situation has done? Because every other woman in your situation isn't getting the scrutiny that you got. So you need to take a step back and take inventory as to why you got that scrutiny and all of those hundreds of thousands of other women who got drafted didn't. This is a you problem. It's not the world's problem. It's a you problem. And too many people now, because we live in our internet echo chambers, fail to understand that it's a you problem, not an everybody else problem. We have ventured into this sunken place where everything is everybody else's fault.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sickness that we have now as a society. Really, it's crazy. And this is a representation of that, in my opinion. So hopefully she figures that out, because if she wants to continue to be the beneficiary of this situation, she's not going to have a choice. Mm-hmm. Because if she insists on the insistence of being able to do whatever she wants, eventually it is going to come undone. Mm-hmm. That won't happen today or tomorrow. It may not even happen 3 years from now, but eventually it is going to come undone. It is going to become undone. And at that point, she'll of course have no one to blame but herself, despite her best efforts to blame everybody else.
Yeah. Hey, we'll see, man. This guy seems to be fully invested. He doesn't care what the internet has to say. He knows what he knows about her, and he's locked in. So that's what I'm saying. She's got the license to do whatever she wants at home. And so she's got it in a good space, and he wants that, apparently. So I'm not here. That's what I'm saying, man. Like, there's somebody for everybody, and that's, she's definitely not my cup of tea. The attitude is just too much, but there's something about that Travis likes, and he wants to be a part of that. And he in my opinion, has literally put his athleticism and everywhere he's going to the side to address her. I've seen that in public too many times. I don't know what's going on in private. I don't know if he's going to be going out there and taking the extra reps because she at the house whining. I don't know how. I don't know if he's going to actually go and put in that extra work, with rehab or something like that because she at the house whining. I don't know if that is going on in the equation, but I've seen him stop what he's doing to address her before. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's doing it at the house too. So again, if you're on a trajectory to be a Hall of Famer like he was, you need somebody there supporting you. And the only thing that we saw was he got to turn around from his mission to come support you. And at that point, if he keeps doing this back and forth U-turn, he'd have missed a whole bunch of good stops. So have at it, enjoy. But yeah, man, I think the internet saw what they saw, and you're not going to gaslight me to say that, oh, you were just being socially awkward. It's deeper than that.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't know. I think all you have to do is just look at the history of these types of situations, and I'm pretty sure she isn't the first wife or girlfriend who is socially awkward. She certainly isn't the first wife or girlfriend who's been present publicly when the husband is receiving certain career achievements or milestones. Like, in the grand scheme of things, all of these instances, which are the catalyst for her perceived mistreatment, they're not unique unto her. Like, it happens a lot to a lot of people who are in those exact same situations. Yet those other people aren't making these types of videos and the types of posts that they make. So, again, man, yeah, I'm not in their household. I don't know what's going on, but accountability has to happen. Accountability has to happen. And that seems to be an element of her overall character that is missing. But again, I'm not going to pin that just on her. That's more widespread than just her. That is a common character trait that we see more and more with people in general who just fail to understand that they are ultimately most responsible for how things play out with anything going on in their life.
Mm-hmm.
Shouts out to Travis, man. Hopefully he get back from that ACL.
Lord. Shout out to the Jaguars and Jacksonville.
And now we move on to the hot button internet story of the week. Megan Thee Stallion and Klay Thompson are no longer together, and Megan Thee Stallion has cited Klay Thompson's cheating as a reason to why they aren't together. She says that he struggled with monogamy and mood swings, among other things. Now there are a lot of people who are chiming in on this situation because it is internet fodder. Slow news week, folks. Otherwise, we wouldn't necessarily be picking on this low-hanging fruit. But be that as it may, Ebro, formerly of Hot 97, now doing his own thing with Rosenberg and what's the other chick's name? Laura Stiles. I think that's her name. Ebro has his opinions on the situation and why he expected Klay Thompson to do what she claims that he did. So this says Ebro says he expected Klay Thompson to cheat on Megan Thee Stallion. Ebro says it shouldn't surprise people that Klay Thompson allegedly cheated on Megan Thee Stallion following their breakup over the weekend during the latest episode of the Ebro Laura Rosenberg show. Ebro explained why he expected the relationship wouldn't last. So Megan accused Thompson of infidelity in a statement on her Instagram story over the weekend before officially announcing their relationship. She claimed that he had an issue with monogamy and went through mood swings during the NBA season. Cheating had me around your whole family playing house, got cold feet, holding you down through all your horrible mood swings and treatment toward me during your basketball season. Now you don't know if you can be monogamous. I need a real break after this one. Bye, y'all, she wrote. Later that day, Megan confirmed their split in an official statement provided to TMZ. I've made the decision to end my relationship with Klay. Trust, fidelity, and respect are non-negotiable for me, in a relationship. And when those values are compromised, there's no real path forward. I'm taking this time to prioritize myself and move ahead with peace and clarity, blah, 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 blah.
Oh,
So here's Rosenberg, and here's what Rosenberg had to say in terms of why he expected for this to happen this way. Allegedly.
I would also like to add, okay, a professional athlete that has been making $1 gazillion for however long Klay Thompson's been in the league. How long has he been in the league?
I'm going to give you his career earnings real quick because they're a lot. But 12 years, something like that.
And we've never known any of Klay Thompson's
nothing
personal interests. 14 years in the NBA. How many rings?
He's over $300 million.
He's made over $300 million in the league. How many rings?
4?
3 or 4 rings.
He's done.
And you've never known about him dating anybody.
I think only Kendall.
He was with Kendall.
I think so, yeah.
All right. I'll go with it. Rasan said. Whatever.
That sounds pretty good.
It doesn't change my point. My point is you've all assumed a man who makes $300 million and has 4 championship rings and run around with Steph ain't out here bagging joints.
Facts. What a terrible.
Y'all made that.
Yeah.
Out of I don't know why.
Because Meg is a big deal, and you go, "Oh wow, you're with Meg. This looks cool."
You know what a bigger deal is? $300 million, 4 NBA rings, and playing on national television
on the Warriors, by the way.
Warriors, and getting chips. Big deal. But I say all that to say that I believe this is more indicative of an athlete who's been at the top of his game for a long time. And
apparently he's still at the top of his game.
Stop. But not really though, because I believe that he wanted and tried to be somebody that he wasn't.
Yep.
Meg was over there with the family. She even wrote in I was going to call it manifesto, in her IG post.
No, not a manifesto.
No. I just had manifesto on the mind.
Yeah.
In her IG post about, I went to the family and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. I don't believe Klay would have introduced you to his family if he wasn't serious. But once again, I don't know Klay. Maybe that's a part of the joke. I don't know. But I would assume that someone over there with the family and the way y'all was trying to make family moments and Thanksgivings and holidays, that he was probably trying. The problem is he's used to being a different person. And I think that a lot of people got to learn. And men who are used to being outside, women who are used to being outside, running around, getting money, hustling, and the life is changing. In an athlete's context, he had a terrible season last year, didn't he?
Okay, so that you pretty much got the point. So that's what Ebro had to say on the subject. So he's not shocked because this is who he has always been, $1 million, 4 championship player, 4 championships. This situation with her was him trying to be a different person, and it didn't work out. So what do you make of this whole situation here? Now she's saying that that's legitimately what happened, that he stepped out and whatever, and that's why they broke up.
Let me address the Ebro part where he's making his analysis. I guess I did leave that part out because we covered when they first got together or whatever. And I was expressing my sympathy for Sir Klay because I figured she'd be the one giving out the goodies, right? Which I know she did. So I'm still gonna put that on her. She can play victim if she want. Girl, you were still giving up the box. And that was my concern for Sir Klay because I didn't know what it just seemed like polar opposites. It just looked like he had a certain way of being and she had another way of being. So
oil and water. That's what it looked like.
Yeah. So I was like, hey man, just be careful. All right. That might start a fire. Right. So yeah, I didn't know how that was going to pan out. So now the news comes out that Klay is the one with the irreconcilable differences. Klay's the one out here taking his show out on the road, not Megan Thee Stallion. But the running to the internet, running to TMZ.
Yeah, why?
And this is why I don't feel sorry for her. This is why I don't think you're a victim. This is classic stuff. It's like she's treating the internet like it's her homegirl. So that's what they do. That's what they do. Girls, they be doing that because they don't want other people in their business. So they're not going to tell their friend what they did. So when they're talking to their friend, yeah, girl, he did this, he did that. He took me around his family. He in here playing house with me. I was taking it serious. And he's out here cheating. He can't. All of that's he. What did you do? Or what weren't you doing? She's not going to tell TMZ that. So I'm not going to sit here and feel sorry for her when she's clapping box. No, not just clapping her rear end. She clapped box too on stages. He's supposed to be cool with that. Nah, man, you was just another person in the Rolodex, apparently, which honestly is the best way to treat somebody like a Meg Thee Stallion. Are you kidding me? She's sitting here making songs about how she in love now. The publicity worked, girl. Your album came and it went. This is over. It's in the books. Your album didn't do good. The people weren't picking up on what you were selling. So this publicity stunt has run its course. Klay Thompson now gets a badge of honor because he was not only slaying Meg Thee Stallion, but he also cheated on her. You know, everybody wins here. So in hindsight, Ebro, I guess he has a point because, yeah, man, you know, I didn't think about his career earnings. I don't go around doing that. You know what I'm saying? Per se. At least not in this context. Because you can still have a $300 million and still be an absolute cornball. So, yeah, I didn't really take Ebro's thing into account, and I didn't see this coming. Not like this. I thought that Klay was going to be the one done wrong, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't get a little smirk on my face when I saw the reports. But what are your thoughts? Attaboy, Klay. You said, what are your thoughts, man, on the breakup that's sending shockwaves through the internet and Ebro's take on it? What's your thoughts, bro?
I largely agree with Ebro's take, and you know, again, a running theme for me with this one is also going to be accountability. Mm-hmm. Because you know, the way that these individuals, and it's mostly women who do this, who run to the internet to tell the world that they've been done wrong and they're victims, and you know, this man did them dirty. At no point during that entire process are they going to sit down in front of that phone and also talk about decisions that they could have made differently that could have contributed to them not being in this situation. Mm-hmm. Like, cry me a river. You know, people need to take accountability for their decisions, period. Like, this is starting to get annoying, you know. You know, she's been with I mean, off the top of my head, and I don't even follow this stuff, but it's just what I know from like listening to like the radio and whatnot. She was with Partisan Fontaine, a rapper. She was with Tory Lanez. I don't know what you consider Tory Lanez. I'm not exactly sure what he is. Let's just say he's a hip hop artist, because I don't think of him as a rapper. He's probably classified as that, but he don't sound like a rapper to me. Mm-hmm. So let's just say he's a hip hop artist. Okay. But Partisan Fontaine, a rapper, Tory Lanez, a hip hop artist who's now serving time, even though people think he shouldn't be in there, and Torrey Craig, an NBA player.
Oh, so about Torrey Craig.
Yeah. So like her history is littered with men who, from a profile standpoint, are statistically more likely than not to have other women around. Yet you persist in maintaining this as a preference for yourself personally. Now, at some point, you're going to have to ask yourself the question, do I have to consider to pursue this kind of profile of a guy? Or should I take a step back and reconsider certain things and maybe switch up the preferences a little bit so that I can perhaps give myself the chance to acquire a better outcome? Mm-hmm. And you can add Klay Thompson to that list. And I agree, like, you think because Klay Thompson is a clean-cut NBA player with no tattoos that he isn't about the same thing that most of these guys are. Like, and here's the thing. I don't know Klay Thompson from a can of paint. I don't know the guy personally. But what I'm not going to do is assume that he's a monogamous guy. So at the very least, I'm going to play it in the middle, in which I don't assume that he is like that, but I also don't assume that he's not. But you're coming in here with your assumption that he's a good guy who's a one-woman monogamy man, because I guess from a behavioral standpoint, he doesn't exhibit a lot of the same characteristics of some of these other guys that you can more easily make that assumption about. So I guess in your mind, because of your perception of his demeanor, you can think that he's one way, even though he's just the same. According to her, he's just the same. The point is, profile-wise, he fits the bill. Profile-wise, the money, the notoriety, the success. Profile-wise, he fits the build. You're the one who is insistent on pursuing that profile. So whose fault is that? Them or yours? You are the common denominator in terms of the inevitable breakdown of every public relationship that you find yourself in. You're the common denominator, not them. You are. So where is it in, this book of victimhood that you engage in with your internet fans? Where is the chapter of you engaging in self-discovery, taking a little bit of inventory and saying, maybe I should have made a different decision? Maybe boring, lame guy who I constantly ignore all the time, who's not going to excite my emotions both positively and negatively. Maybe those guys who I always leave on red should be given a greater degree of consideration. Maybe they won't cheat on me as much. Do I know that for a fact? No, but I also don't know for a fact that they will, because I don't even bother to find out, because I'm insistent on one particular profile. This isn't my speculation. Her public record is there. It's online for everybody to see. These are the guys these are the men who she's been with. I'm not making this stuff up. So what do you want people to do? Continue to buy into the hype that you're a victim? I'm not buying it, man. So again, we're using this Megan Thee Stallion Klay Thompson story to talk about this because its virility on the internet, at least for this week, is self-explanatory. But here we go again with more people not taking accountability. I heard this stuff time and time again. How many dudes who I know who complain about women being for the streets as far as the reason to why they don't have a wife or a girlfriend? Grown-ass men. I know guys right now in their 30s and 40s who blame women as to why they haven't settled down, when the truth is, bro, you really don't want to settle down because you like women who are for the streets.
Hey, man, there's a lot of street women out
here.
There's a lot of them out there, bro.
It most certainly is a lot of them out there, but those aren't the only women to pick from. Those are just the ones that you gravitate toward.
It's just a lot of them.
It just is what it is. So, to women in her position who don't want to be cheated on and want a monogamous man, maybe you should ask yourself why you routinely, continuously, habitually pursue men with the profile that is least likely to give you what you're asking for. And then when they fulfill that prophecy, you jump online to blame them instead of saying, maybe I should have made a different decision. I just don't buy it. So much like Lene from the previous segment, no sympathy from me. This is a joke. I am Team Klay with this all the way. The only instance in which I will not be Team Klay is if he literally told her, I'm a one-woman man, and then he reneged. If he sold her a dream, then at that point, he needs to be held responsible for that. Will we ever know? Who knows? Unless he says that's what happened. I don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, barring that being the case, I'm Team Klay all the way on this. You made certain assumptions that didn't live up to the bargain that you signed up for, and now you're paying the piper, and you want to cry victim on the internet as a result. This is another case of a lack of accountability as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And me personally, even if he did say, baby, you're the only one for me, I don't care. I don't care that he said it, because they both knew he was lying. Bro, outside is a crazy place. This wasn't going to end up in marriage, and they both knew that. This was a fling thing that you can't keep contained. This is Klay Thompson and Megan Thee Stallion.
But because of the position that she's in, she gets to leverage it for her own personal gain, which is the part about it that bothers me, because I agree with you. If she's as smart as she says she is, then she has to be instinctive enough to know that there is a decent likelihood that this is the outcome of this situation. And yet you entered into it anyway. And then when it worked out the way that it did, predictably, you now get to leverage it for yourself by saying, look how I got done wrong. Y'all come to my Moulin Rouge show now.
Exactly.
It's a joke to me.
My next album's going to be fire, y'all. I'm going to be selling more box than ever. That's what she going to say. I'm back outside, y'all. This is going to be the hottest summer ever. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be burning every guy I come in contact with. STI music. That's her. I don't want to hear that crap. But that's what she's gonna do, y'all. It's gonna be the rebirth of Megan, you know. But you gotta understand, first of all, even if Megan Thee Stallion wasn't a rapper, but if you just take in the context of how she raps, you can tell that she would have been like that anyway. She would have been outside anyway, whether she was a rapper or not. That's how she carries herself. So, but because she is a rapper and everybody knows what's going on, she can't really hop from D to D the way she wants to. You know, she's too popular for that. So it looks good to have a man. But she just gets into situationships like any other woman for the street. You know, it's just that she's famous. And she just tries to sell everybody the dream that this is the one. I'm loved up, y'all. I'm all booed up. Like, I didn't ask for any of that. This wasn't Klay Thompson recording these videos with y'all on the boat and uploading it to the internet, making songs that he in love. This you. So this whole thing, this whole everything that she's gone through, you know, is part of her career arc. It's what she does. It's how she stays relevant. And she's a street woman. So, you know, personally, everybody knows somebody in their life that's for the streets. And that person that you know is for the streets, they may not tell you what they really got going on, but they probably got 4 or 5 people in their phone. This is Meg Thee Stallion. She got more than 4 or 5.
Oh, yeah.
You think she shut it down for Klay? No. So if Klay's the only one that got caught cheating, that's different. But Meg, when he was out, you know what I'm saying? When he was out across the country playing in New York or Charlotte, and you way over here in Texas or somewhere else because you're doing a show and performing, y'all really think each other is being monogamous that far apart? Like, cut it out. This is a regular situationship that anybody else gets into, and we know how fickle those could be. So for her to sit here and just cry to TMZ, like, oh my God, he did me so wrong, y'all. You know, and you know, all the hotties are going to be anti-Klay now. It's like, give me a break. But this is the game. This is the game. So I don't feel sorry for people outside. I don't. If you outside person and you got cheated on, I don't care. Because y'all both playing games. It's when you're inside and you cut it off. You're not outside no more, mentally and physically. You shut it down. You're dedicated to this next person. And then you got cheated on, there is levels of empathy there. But if you got 1 foot in the street, 1 foot in the house, I don't feel sorry for you at all. So Meg, cry me a river. All right? Get out of here. And she needs to know her role and shut her damn mouth. So I ain't got time for this, man. I've had it today.
Yeah, no, she's a jabroni too, for real. she is. She's a jabroni. She's a Rudy Poo candy ass. She is, man. I'm tired of this stuff, man. I'm tired of this lack of accountability. It's dumb, bro. You know, Brittany Renner says I'm on this religious convergence and I am now a change. Yeah, I'm now a changed person, yet I'm still on Instagram all the time. Like, if you really had changed your life, like foundationally, you wouldn't be online anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't be. You'd be gone. Out of sight, out of mind. We wouldn't even be knowing what you're up to unless we see you pop up in some other capacity. But here she is still communicating to the same fan base that she curated when she was a street woman, trying to convince everybody that she's different now. Like, no one's buying that. And here you go, whatever she was with Kevin Gates, and now she's divorced or whatever you call it.
Yeah, it's the same game.
Yeah, it's the same playbook.
Mm-hmm.
And she got to leverage that for her own personal gain in some capacity. Now she isn't to the level of Megan Thee Stallion, so when she attempted it, it went nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
But the part about this that annoys me the most is that she'll get to play this up and be like, look at what happened. And now she can drum up interest in her live performance, that residency that she has going on. And like you said, for her next, piece of music, where she's going to be doing more of the thought pocket rapping. So yeah, I just don't have any sympathy for this kind of garbage, man. And it's just weird. It's unfortunate because being outside is just a prevailing wisdom at this point. Most people are operating as though that's the only way to really do this when it's not. But they've been convinced that via the inception of this goofy music and this weirdo entertainment industry. Mm-hmm. And so, good luck to anybody who is plugged into that matrix trying to get yourself out of it, because it's easier said than done at this point. But I'm not buying her, and I'm not buying the rest of these weirdo, foolish people who are actually trying to convince us of their perpetual victimhood. I'm not buying it. Yeah. Look at you and your repeated decisions over and over again. You're the common denominator. And anybody who's buying into this hype is just as equally a joke as she is.
Well said, man. So, hey, man, shout out to Klay Thompson, man. I wasn't familiar with your game. I knew you can hit 11 threes in one half, man, but I didn't know you can do Megan Thee Stallion dirty, bro, and score one for the City Boys. So shout out to Klay Thompson, man.
Yeah. Clay's jumper was wet in more ways than one.
Yeah, man. City Boys on top.
And now we got
the City Boys, boy. Hell no.
And now we got Trick Daddy, who's once again unmuting on his preference for dating women who are significantly, well, maybe not significantly, but younger than him. So Trick Daddy's made noise talking like this online before in interviews and stuff, and so here he's done it again, talking about why older women are just not that appealing to him. He previously had a rule that he doesn't talk to women who are under the age of 36 or who are over the age of 36, but he has since amended that, and now he will not talk to a woman who is under the age of 40. For reference, Trick Daddy is currently, I think, 51 years old. But every time Trick talks like this, women get out of pocket, claiming how dare he maintain a standard for dating women younger than him when he is who he is. So this says Trick Daddy doubles down on why he doesn't date older women. I'm tired of them bitches.
Damn.
Trick Daddy is doubling down on his past comments about refusing to date older women. In a recent interview with The Art of Dialogue, the 51-year-old rapper was asked about his aversion to dating women over the age of 36. Yeah, I'm tired of them bitches. The older you get, the more serious you want to get out of life, and your seriousness doesn't involve me and don't involve men. I'm tired of women bragging about their credit score and their LLCs and all this stuff. I own my own business. You own your own business, but your business ain't making no money. For a woman my age, we're getting older. Let's start respecting and loving each other, on each other. Stop making it all about you. All these effing rules, lower your effing standard. From there, Trick Daddy shared what types of women he felt an inclination to. I want me a little nice, young, tender something that's going to appreciate me, that's going to tell me I smell good, is going to tell me they like my shoes sometime. It's not all about you, and I think older women just got it effed up to the point where you doing all this little girl stuff, but you still acting like an old ass witch. So I like mine. So I like mine young and tender. I want mine young and tender and needy. I want her to call me daddy and say, thank you, baby. I want to pop out and she looking like a snack. The Ticket to the House rapper also said he was tired of these bitches with all these rules and regulations. Get your ass in the kitchen. You always want to go out to eat. Go cook an N-word something. Despite previously saying he would not date past 36, Trick Daddy admitted that he's since moved up his threshold to 40, but warned that he would not go past that ever in my life. One thing about a younger woman, I know her angle. When she opened her mouth, she gonna tell me what kind of woman she is off the rip. She don't got no hidden secrets. She gonna let me know exactly what I'm dealing with, so I know how to deal with her and I know how to follow. Trick Daddy also said that older women are stuck in the past, before adding, don't get mad at me because we riding down this street and I look at a little young fine girl and I do a double take. As eye candy, I'm supposed to look at her. The rapper made similar comments in a 2025 interview on the Nene Leakes show on YouTube, where he said older women have their standards too high, are too emotional, and render them damaged goods. When Leakes objected and said she isn't damaged, he responded, you don't even realize you're damaged, you see, because you're not supposed to sit here in front of me giving attention to your ex N-word. Trick Daddy was married to Joy Young from 2003 until filing for divorce in 2022. It's unclear if he is currently in a relationship. While speaking to the We in Miami podcast in 2023, Young said she divorced him because she was sick and tired of being sick and tired. Whatever that means. Okay, so there you go. There's Trick Daddy talking about wanting to be with a woman who's previously 36, now 40, and won't go any older than that. They're stuck in their ways, emotional, needy, and all of this other stuff. So what do you make of Trick's comments?
Yeah, I think Trick's a hilarious human being. He is unapologetically him at all times, which I get a lot of entertainment out of. And him speaking on his preferences here, which is he's entitled to. I agree. I agree with that. So, you know, he said he's willing to go up to 40. So that's not bad. I mean, it's still a gap as far as his age, but I mean, that's a grown woman at that point.
Yeah, it is.
So, it's young to him, but it's still grown as hell. So, you know, there's going to be people that's going to have a problem with it for sure. But me personally, I don't see any issue with it. I feel like that's a good compromise for him and somebody his age. But yeah, man, when you're dealing with 35, when you're dealing in the 30s, bro, they're locked in. They're locked in. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying they can't learn lessons and stuff like that, but they're pretty much locked in, bro. They're like 80% locked in. So whatever you're seeing right now, you're pretty much going to see that through duration, because they've been doing these things since they've been learning how to walk and feed themselves. You know, just the way that people evolve, like in their life, like people that actively try to work and get better, that's one story. But I would argue the masses of people aren't really that invested in working and being better than you were yesterday. I think a lot of people are just going through the motions. They were raised a particular way, and then they just set it in cruise control. So they're doing the same stuff. You'll meet somebody that's 35, 36 years old, and they've been doing the same thing since they were 5 or 6 years old. So that's why he said, you just a grown-ass child. You know, I'm dealing with grown-ass children. And it's like, yeah, you'll experience that. So for somebody in Trick Daddy's position that's, you know, a street man himself, all right. So I'm sure he's meeting these women out here that like he said in the article there, well, yeah, they claiming they got a business and they claiming they got it moving and shaking and stuff like that, but it's all talk, it's all show. It sounds like he knows that he's in his later chapters in his life, and he actually wants to be around somebody that honors and appreciates him, instead of women that are around that are in it for the show. So I guess from him dating and dealing with women that were closer to his age, he recognized a pattern in his life that, hey, that's not it. So that's his threshold, you know. But me personally, I just think that, when somebody's out here and they're looking around, and you happen to be, in your mid to late 30s, in your 40s or whatever, and you're still out there on the market, and you're trying to swim in the pool with women that are your age. I'm not saying you can't do that, but what I'm saying is, like Trick said, you probably are damaged goods. The flip side is that you're damaged goods, right? But you don't want to believe that. You don't want to believe that, So since you don't want to believe that, then why not keep your options open to somebody that's not fixed or locked in? So I don't have a problem with it. It is what it is. To each their own. So long as that you can get drafted in the military and play scratch offs, you should be allowed to date who you want, and to each their own. So if that's what Trick's into, again, 40 is not a bad cutoff. I'm all about it, man. But shout out to Trick, man. He is hilarious to me. I'm laughing at you just reading what he says, because I can only imagine how he's delivering that. But what are your thoughts, man, on TDD saying that, hey, man, I'm not dealing with these crusty older women. I want mine younger. What are your thoughts, man?
I don't think the age gap is the problem. I think people who take issue with what he has to say are just taking issue with the delivery of his message. And they're taking issue with the fact that he's delivering it. But I don't, on the surface, I don't think that there's anything unreasonable with what he's saying. I mean, if I'm in the market for a car, I don't want to buy a car that's been in 5 accidents and has had an engine replacement and transmission went bad in it, and replace the alternator like 5 or 6 times. It always needs a new starter. I don't want that. I want a car who's been in less, if not any, vehicular accidents. I would prefer to have a car with a clean Carfax. It's going to last longer in the long run. It's going to cost me less in the long run, and it's going to serve me best in the long run. Less breakdowns. I'm not going to have to insure it as much. There's all sorts of different ramifications behind being in the market for a car and choosing one that has a clean Carfax record. Now, am I trying to equate women to vehicles? In terms of the analogy, yes, I am. Not literally, but in terms of whether that is analogous to how you choose women when you're out here in this field. Yeah, I think the same logic applies. The only rule that I've ever maintained personally is that I don't ask for what I can't give. So if I am going to require that I be with a woman who's younger because I like younger women due to and I'm not speaking for myself personally, I'm just saying hypothetically, like if I want to be with a young girl because younger women are hot or look good or have nicer bodies or they're physically closer to their prime, then I personally feel like as a man I should approximate that. So I should be able to come to the table despite being older, also being able to at least approximate my physical peak or being in good physical conditioning and good physical shape, things like that. Like if I want to be with a younger woman because she's less likely to have children by other men, then I should also not have children with other women, things like that. I just fundamentally believe that you shouldn't ask for what you can't give. Now, there may be things that you're willing to accept or take on that isn't a part of what you are not being able to give because you aren't in that same situation. But for things that you require personally, you should be able to match that. And that's been the only requirement that I feel any guy should maintain when it comes to stuff like this. So I kind of feel like, if Trick is saying, I don't want to deal with older women because of their baggage and because of, them being stuck in their ways, or it's always a tit for tat thing where they're trying to compare careers or compare money or all of this other stuff, then he should also be able to give that same energy. He should also be able to reciprocate that, meaning he's not coming into the situation with his own variety of traumas and his own variety of tit for tat comparison and I do this and I deliver this and I bring this to the table. And I think that that's entirely fair. But, you know, at the same time, this is why guys sometimes, and because, you know, women are always lying about their body counts. You know, they lie about the amount of men they've been with. And the reason why they lie is because they know it's unappealing to men. Now, they aren't necessarily always understanding that that's something that is unappealing to men. They're just doing it to placate that particular aspect of a man's consideration set. They know that men don't like women with high body counts, but internally they disagree with the fact that men don't find high body counts appealing. They feel as though it shouldn't matter, that it's not a big deal, that me having a high body count shouldn't really factor at all. It should be about the connection and all of this other stuff.
Yeah, sure.
But like the reason why men value women with lower body counts is because when you've had all of those penises and you've been with all of these guys, you're compiling all of those different experiences and all of those different life traumas and all of those different events. That becomes a part of your codex at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Any guy that you get with is going to have to inherit all of that. So most guys are going to opt for the lower body count because intrinsically we perceive that as inheriting less of those tread marks, less of that wear and tear. It just is what it is. And the reason why the flip side isn't as comparable is because throughout life, we don't get as many opportunities as they do. It's just by the nature of the beast. Like in the grand scheme of things, on average, a woman who's 35 and a man who's 35, unless the guy has just been really plugged in and has really been out there like that, if it's a regular guy who's 35 and a regular woman who's 35, and they both have just been on this casual dating trajectory, chances are the woman who's 35 has a higher body count than the guy who's 35. If for no other reason than the fact that women, just by virtue of their mere existence, get exponentially more opportunities than men do.
Mm-hmm.
So just from a statistical mathematical standpoint, unless you are a woman who does accord yourself responsibly, you're going to have more bites at the apple, which means there's going to be more instances and chances of those accumulated trauma packs. And I think most guys value the lower body count because it means intrinsically there is less likelihood that they're going to have to inherit more of those situations than not. And so when you're younger, mathematically, theoretically, there's less likelihood that you've accumulated those experiences to be able to pass on when I come around the block.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't see there being any reason as to why certain men prioritize the age thing. Like, I think practically there's reasons why, and, certain women don't like it because they have accumulated that baggage, but they still believe as though they're just as viable as women who are younger, and they're entitled to believe that too. I'm not trying to take that away from them, but there are certainly practical, pragmatic, utilitarian reasons as to why men conduct that calculus in their mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it isn't always about they have attitudes. It isn't always about they're stuck in their ways, these nebulous things that people say. It isn't always about that. Sometimes it's literally about decreasing the likelihood that I'm going to have to inherit a large amount of previous life experience and have to be a part of that gradual journey of trying to, defrag all of that so that we can be the best possible situation together that we can be. Because in order for that to happen, we're going to have to unpack a lot of that stuff. So, just from a practical standpoint, because I don't know whether he's factoring all of those things into the equation, but at the same time, to me, that's not necessarily the point, because there's a lot of guys who will say stuff like that and they'll get criticized for maintaining those preferences.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why a lot of guys maintain those preferences is because of those very practical reasons. So, right or wrong, fair or unfair, it is what it is. I just think that you have to kind of live with that.
Yeah, and not only do you have to unpack it, like you said, man, they also have to be done with that lifestyle. Like they have to be, because at that point, if there's enough going on in their life where they have to unpack and defrag, then they better be done with being outdoors. And that's not always the case, especially if they've been doing it for 20 plus years at that point, you know. So it's just who they are. And it's part of that 80% I was mentioning that's kind of fixed. So it's not sweet out here, not in the slightest. But I also think that, you know, because Trick is well documented with his Eat a Booty gang.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here just doing, you know, I'm looking up this article here. And then I see another article out there where he was talking about how
Yeah.
all right, he likes his own version of what's that, cunnilingus?
Yes. Yeah. Truffle. Yeah. He likes his own variety of truffle butter.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Getting rim jobbed.
Yes.
All right. So I'm telling you right now, ain't no 50-year-old woman doing that.
No.
All right. So you got to find the young bucks that's out there.
Well,
that's
not yet, but they will in about 10 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The 40-year-olds now.
Yeah.
They'll be, it's part of course, man. Everybody's doing it now, apparently. Right. So yeah, he got to find the youngest that's into his proclivities. Because he's definitely got some, and they're well documented at this point. So and he says it loud and proud. So yeah, man, you're not gonna find a 48-year-old woman that's down with that. Are you kidding me? I'm not saying they don't exist, but you're hard pressed. So when you're dealing with a 38-year-old woman and Trick Daddy's he's Trick Daddy to her. So, well, to him or whatever. And then, so at that point, that's why he said, oh, you know, she can call me daddy. She can do, you know, stroke his ego. You know, that's what he wants, some ego stroking, and he wants some companionship in his latter years. So that's pretty much that age frame. And that's probably, honestly, why he's dealing in the 30s to keep it 100, you know, because he could have extended his preference. He didn't exclude the 20s, but he kept it in that 35 to whatever range, because that's the people that were fans of him. You know, they actually know him, you know. And so saying that they hanging out with Trick Dad actually means something, you know. And they probably do his little stuff that he's into. So that's a sweet spot for him, honestly. So yeah, man, you know, Trick is he's an interesting dude. I don't take anything he says overly serious. I know he'd be serious though. But he's just one of those people, man, that he's just him. That's how he feel about it. The answer, his explanation of why he don't want to deal with women his age is fair. You know, so if there is anybody out there that's, you know what I'm saying, got theirs in a bunch just because he don't want to deal with somebody in their 50s.
Yeah.
You know, that's on them, man. But somebody that's in their 30s, early 40s, and they want to deal with somebody in their 50s, have at it. I have no issue with that at all. But yeah, man, Trick Daddy, he loves his proclivities. I'll say that.
Yeah, I think the people who would have a problem with his preferences, which I agree with you, he is entitled to those. Those are going to be people who probably feel some type of way about the way older women tend to get excluded. You know, so it's a more granular observation for a lot of people. It's less about Trick's preferences specifically, and it's more about the overarching existence of older women being excluded by men. And like I said, man, I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, fair or unfair. It is what it is. But like on average, man, like there's only a smaller, it's the smaller percentage of guys who from a body count standpoint are able to keep up in a commensurate fashion with the amount of opportunities that women have throughout their lifetime. Like that's not most men's experience. That's not most men's reality. Like most men's reality is kind of on average, we're looking at about a few times at bat per year. And I would say most women get a few times at bat per day. It's just not, we just don't live the same reality. So like you can't really compare a man's reality to a woman in that regard. And that's why the body count argument doesn't work in reverse when it comes to, well, why doesn't a man's body count matter? Well, because we live different realities. And so that aspect of the conversation takes on a completely different meaning. Unless you're talking about guys who are in that upper echelon who, for various reasons, do have a lot of motion, and so they do get a lot of action. Unless we're talking about those guys, most guys on average live a reality in which the body count pendulum doesn't swing in that direction. So that's why it's never mattered. But it matters for women because women, by virtue of their mere existence, get exponentially more opportunities. So for a guy who's prioritizing a younger age group of woman, part of that practically can be because there's a less likelihood that they've accumulated all of this sexual baggage in comparison to a woman that's older.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a practical reason why, and I don't think it's all that crazy. But a lot of people, women in particular, get triggered with this age stuff. And it just is what it is. That's why it's important for y'all to get out the game as early as possible. Don't stick around on purpose past 35 because it's going to get harder for you. And I mean, it gets more difficult for guys too, but if I'm being honest, it's significantly more difficult for women as they get older because you're going to have to deal with the advent of your accumulated experience juxtaposed to the lack of it for younger women, and the fact that most guys, because they don't live the same reality, can be older and not have a requisite amount of said experiences. So it's not the same. And I keep trying to tell, whenever this kind of stuff comes up, if we talk about it here on the channel or if I'm talking about it in casual conversation with people, I always try to stress the point home because it's very important that people keep in mind the fact that men and women live fundamentally different realities. And far too often when we're having these conversations, people are trying to equivocate men and women. We're not the same.
No.
We're not. We live different realities. We're different species of human. We're different from a physical standpoint, from a emotional standpoint, from a chemical standpoint, and on top of that, socially, we live diametrically opposed realities.
I mean, we got completely different chromosomes.
We do. So like this, I don't know where this weird equivocation came up, where it's like we're trying to suggest that because women do this, it's also supposed to apply to men and vice versa. We don't live the same reality. We're different. We're different. And like the sooner we realize that, the more easier it will be to understand why people maintain the preferences that they do.
Yeah, man. Well said, bro. So, women, I mean, they're once they understand their value, which is a whole nother conversation, but once they understand their value, they brag about it in their box songs, but, bragging about it and actually respecting it is another thing. And there's a lot of power that comes with that. So much so when you give it away, people look at you like you're crazy. Like, why are you giving away your power? It's kind of silly. Men in that department are, I mean, they come from nothing type of thing. I mean, real incelism is predominantly a male thing. And that's because it's not easy out here to go out there and hunt, and so they're dealing with not a deficit, but they're at 0, while women are starting at 100 and they're just walking around. And when women give theirs away for free and just give it to the guy, they're going to look at that guy like, bro, you got all those coins? How'd you get all those coins? You took that from this is valuable coin. And y'all just give it away for free. Some of y'all in the red. And then that's when people are like, well, you're broken. You gave away all your coin. You ain't got no walls left. Ain't no friction happening there. So you're in the deficit. So people look at you crazy. And they look at that guy that's plus 100. They like, damn, how you got all those coins, bro? If that's the difference. That's why they pat him on the back. and they throw rocks at you because you had it all and you gave it away. So that's the fundamental difference. That's the real power that women have. And they make songs about giving it away. Even if I got paid for it, you gave it away. That's not easy to respect. That's why actual sex workers are looked at, because they have to be in the red. That's more than 100 tokens. You have to be in the red living in that lifestyle. So all in all, if people still want to get in that level of comparison, I feel sorry for them. But if you don't understand that fundamental difference, I don't think we can have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, well, they'll definitely have the conversation with you. I'm telling you right now,
yeah,
because
gonna leave some comments too. They're gonna leave the comments too. And just don't give away your tokens. Then I ain't gonna say that.
Right. Oh man, hey, shout out to Trick, man. You know, Trick physically hasn't necessarily aged very well, but at the end of the day, he can still maintain those preferences. I really don't see an issue with it, but I'm pretty sure other people do. So,
yeah, shout out to Trick, man. Take it to the highs, bro. Take it to the highs.
Oh man, and now we got Damon Jones here, man. Now this one hurts my heart, man. This one hurts my heart. So this is the next domino to fall with this huge NBA gambling scandal. Damon Jones is a part of that, and he has now pled guilty to conspiracy on several gambling counts. Faces 21 to 27 months in prison. He's already pled guilty, man. So Damon Jones is gonna go up the road, man, for a while. You know, his sentencing is set to happen, I believe, in January of next year, 2027. But this is just unfortunate, man. This says former NBA guard Damon Jones pleads guilty to conspiracy. The first domino has reportedly fallen in the latest NBA gambling scandal on Tuesday. Former NBA player and assistant coach Damon Jones, who played 11 seasons in the NBA with 10 different teams, pleaded guilty to one count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Jones is expected to receive a prison sentence of 21 to 27 months, and he has agreed to forfeit $35,000. In a prepared statement read in court, the 49-year-old admitted to conspiring with others to defraud sports betting companies by using insider information that I obtained as a result of my relationship as a former player. I would like to sincerely apologize to the court, my family, my peers, and also the NBA. Jones made more than $20 million across his NBA career from 1999 to 2009, playing with LeBron James in Cleveland from 2005 to 2008, and later serving as an unofficial assistant on Darvin Ham's staff 3 years removed from the Lakers' 2019 championship team. Jones was charged with alleged illegal use of inside information, as well as his role in an allegedly rigged poker game. His sentencing is scheduled for January 6, 2027. What an ironic date that is, January 6. Wow. Appearing on Get Up this morning, ESPN and ABC News' Ryan Smith talked about what could come next for the others involved in this case if Jones' expected plea deal. When you talk about somebody like Terry Rozier and the others involved in this case, plea deals tend to start a domino effect. Other people start to come forward. They start to want their own deals. The longer you wait, the worse your deals are. Does he look at this and say, do I now make a deal? Do I now feel the pressure? It's a huge deal for the prosecution. Rozier and Hall of Fame point guard Chauncey Billups are also at the heart of this NBA case. Billups was removed from the Portland Trail Blazers bench one game into the season, with Thiago Splitter taking over and leading the team to the 7th seed and first playoff appearance since 2020. So there you go, man. Damon Jones, a guy who I liked while he was an active player. Yeah, man, pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud. He's a part of this whole Ponzi gambling extravaganza. So what do you make of this unfortunate situation?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate, man, but I don't think he's the only person. I don't think these are the only characters, players involved. Honestly, I would say that this has been going on since the league has been going on. So long as people can bet on these games, I just know that there's been players fixing games, having illegal, poker rinks. Like, this wasn't new. So Damon Jones, Chauncey Billups, all right, and Terry Rozier are not masterminds. They're guys that heard, oh, word, you can do that? Yeah, man. So did that his whole career. You know what I'm saying? So they're like, oh, all right, bet. And they just were doing it. Now, they just so happen to get caught. Why? I don't know. I personally don't know. But to me, this sounds like, damn, bro, I forgot what movie this was. In the 90s or whatever. There was always these cop movies or whatever. And there was like something really big going on. I don't know if this was The Wire or something like that. It had something to do like that, but it was something really big going on. And they needed something in the press to get the people to calm down and let the people in the city know that everything's under control. So they publicize some type of bust that they made. Hey, we're out in the streets, we're cracking down on crime. And then so that story that they ran was supposed to cover up the bigger problem that they knew what was going on in the background. And honestly, that was in a movie or a TV show or whatever. But when I saw that, I was like, yeah, I can see that happen in real life. I can see them doing that for real, And so I think this situation, this case, is a larger problem. They want to act like these guys are unique players. Like they're unique in the circumstance. They went rogue, But no, these guys are just doing what happens. I think the Rozier thing now, since more people are getting into betting, more people are getting, more eyes on it. Like, this stuff is becoming more and more obvious that these guys are throwing things, because the average everyday person that didn't have a bookie got an app in their phone now. And so they're watching all of these games that they would never watch before. That's why these leagues are also invested in all the gambling, because they make money off the gambling and they get viewership and all that other extra stuff that come with it. Hey, y'all, this many millions of people watched our sporting event. So we're going to charge y'all this much for this. There's money in all of this. So, but now since so many people are paying attention, because trust me, bro, I'm sitting here watching these lines move and I'm like, oh, okay, boom, I'll lock that in. So I'm sitting there locking that in. I said, that's an easy bet. That's sweet. You know what I'm saying? Smash the over. Mm-hmm. I will come back and check the book. So let's say that I had the assist for somebody at 4.5. And I'm like, I think that's kind of low. And I'll get that. And then later on, I check the app, it's at 5.5. So that means other people was hitting it. So I was like, oh, I locked it in at 4.5. I got the money. That's straight cash. I'm going over to the next thing. This bastard only got 2. He averages 5.3 in the season. He only got 2. Now, granted, it's averages. It's the law of averages. I get it. But sometimes you can't help but to feel like the call got put in. So there's so many people that are rightfully speculating or wrongfully speculating because they're doing exactly what I just did. But there's so much eyes and scrutiny on it that something has to be done.
Yeah. And
I think these are fall guys for it. I honestly think that. I think they found the habitual people, the egregious offenders. See, they did it with the Porter. They did it with the Porter thing. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that was a big enough fish. It was like, well, hell, if he's doing it, we know other people are doing it. Mm-hmm. And I think they just upped the ante. I think that this was like, hey, y'all, we found them. It was Chauncey Billups and Damon Jones. They were running the whole rink. It's like they were using x-rays and stuff to view cards on the table. Like, come on. These guys got x-ray technology. Come on, man. What are we doing? So at the end of the day, I think that these guys are fall guys. It sucks. It sucks that, you got to do 20 something months as a fall guy. knowing damn well the people that put you on are free, that's rough, bro. That is real rough stuff. But when you play with underworld stuff, man, the dice can roll in any direction, man. That's why it's just best to just, if you know it's something underworld, man, I just choose not to get involved because it can go left at any moment. So I feel sorry for these guys to a degree, but they knew what the hell they was getting themselves into. And it's hard to feel sorry for somebody that's made millions of dollars over their career. You know what I'm saying? What are you doing this for? So there's only a certain degree I can feel sorry for them. But it is what it is, man. But what are your thoughts, man, on Sir Damon Jones and Terry Rozier, two Heat players?
Yeah.
Crazy stuff, man.
Yeah.
Getting caught up in a gambling situation. What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that they were, I hope no one thinks that they were the ones who were masterminding this whole thing. I mean, there's a hierarchy, a power structure with these kinds of operations, and the individuals who are at the top, rarely are the ones who are, arrested first. If they're arrested at all, they're certainly not the ones who are arrested first. It's always the ones who are the users, right? The ones who are licensing the technology or the venues or organizing everything, but they aren't the ones who stand to gain the most off the top. Those are rarely the ones who are arrested first. It's always the lower level individuals. And I'm not necessarily suggesting that people like Damon Jones and Chauncey Billups are low inherently, but in the hierarchy of this gambling infrastructure, they were probably just the ones who were like, the pawns, the field mice, the guys who were front line on the chessboard actually doing the game plan. But the people who were financing the technology, financing the venues where everything took place, organizing the games, those are the people who are not yet gonna get caught, if they get caught at all. I mean, this is unfortunate, man. And this sucks doubly because Damon Jones, again, man, Damon Jones was the guy who I liked in the league, especially when he played for the Heat. He was a member of one of my favorite Heat teams ever, which is the 04-05 Heat team.
Really?
A Heat team that I still contend would have won the championship that year if Wade didn't hurt his ribs against the Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals. So I got a lot of love for Damon Jones, and it's unfortunate. But, again, man, my central thesis with these types of stories is, like, what do you stand to gain, and what did you not gain throughout your career earning $20 million that you're at this point in which you're engaging in this activity? That's my whole thing is, where does Damon Jones's fiscal irresponsibility end, and where does his proclivity for gambling begin? You know what I'm saying? Like, where does one end and where does the other begin? Because I'm telling you right now, you can't give me $20 million and I'm gonna just be in a situation in which I feel like I have to start gambling illegally like that. Like at that now, of course, throughout his career, he didn't earn $20 million in one lump sum, but still, he sustained a career for a decade in the league. He wasn't earning chump change. So my whole thing is, if your accumulated earnings throughout that time amount to $20 million, and you were in media before you went into coaching in the league, you're earning a paycheck doing that. Where are we at with Damon Jones and others like him in that position where you're now doing this stuff too? It's just the lengths that people will go to in order to be able to sustain themselves financially is something that fascinates me. And I don't know where that length to make that decision starts and when it ends, that this is literally just some sort of a gambling affliction. But that's kind of where it is for me. It's just like, I like to know where that point is for people in his position, because hard to imagine me living an existence in which I earn $20 million, but I have to, out of necessity, be a part of an illegal gambling operation. Like, that's a wild way to live. But Such is the way that this thing tends to go, man. But I do agree with you. I don't think he was a mastermind. He was somebody who just got caught first. He was like the first line of defense. And you know, being able to apprehend the individuals who are at the head of this thing is probably going to depend on the testimony of people like him and Chauncey Billups. So we'll see how it all plays out, bro. But you know, for Chauncey, it's even worse because I'm fairly certain if I look it up, Chauncey Billups made more than $20 million throughout his career. And so crazy to see it play out like that, man. But it sucks as a guy who was somebody who I really enjoyed following when he was a Heat player. It's unfortunate to see.
Yeah, man. I forgot what player this was and what sport. I don't know what the hell my memory went today. But it was a player that was talking about like the draft evaluation. And the types of questions that they asked during the draft and stuff. And the amount of intelligence that these teams had on these players. Hey, can you tell me about Dontavius? Dontavius. Who told you about Dontavius? Yeah. I knew Dontavius in middle school.
Right.
Yeah. Can you tell me about Dontavius? What happened? How do you even know that name? I haven't said that name in years. You know, that kind of stuff. How did they know about that? Well, they know because they have their own intelligence operations.
Yeah.
Damon Jones had this problem when he was a player, 100% sure. Chauncey Billups had this problem when he was a player, 100% sure. And the Beasley situation should serve as a like a case study, a modern case study of how these guys get locked in with this garbage when they're making millions of dollars. And he was still in debt, still owing people, still because of he got upside down somehow. And you get millions of dollars, tens of thousands per check. And yet you're living in the red like you got a payday advance loan. How the hell you get there? And it's through their gambling as a player. And what ends up happening is, hey, look, man, I see you're in a rut, bro. Look, we got this little thing that we do every Saturday night.
Yeah.
Why don't you come on over? Why don't you invite some of your friends over? We'll shave a little bit of that down for you. And it don't stop. Because it's a payday advance loan. You ain't gonna never get out of that cycle. And I think that these guys get so locked in with it. You're locked in with the people that you owe. And you still get to get a little kickback. So you still have enough to live. It's a wild circumstance and a wild circle, but these guys get caught up in it. So it's an addiction. So it's no different than the alcoholisms or anything else that these players experience. And these are the guys that were that had that gambling bug, and they got in over their head and they owed, and then they started playing ball and doing whatever they needed to do to clear it. So the Rozier thing it's got even more damning stuff in it. They talking about bribery and all this other stuff, and it's like it probably got to that point where it's like, bro, hey, look, bro, just just do whatever it is. Who is he bribing? I didn't see all of that stuff, but yeah, man, they get locked in, bro. So again, it's the same thing. I do feel sorry for him because that's some type of sickness, but at the same time, man, you get life-changing money, every month.
Yeah.
You get, I mean, I'm sure these guys' checks be like $60,000. They'll look at it. Yep, the 60,000 just dropped. Let me 50,000 of that is going towards my gambling debt. You know what I'm saying? So it's a wild lifestyle, man. A very unfortunate business, man. But hopefully for Terry Rozier, who's still a young man and still trying to figure life out, hopefully they don't throw the book at this guy too. But it looked like they're giving him all the business. So we'll see what happens with Rozier, man. And Damon Jones, that's kind of a slap on the wrist. Only get 3 years or whatever that is.
And it probably won't even be all of that because how it is. Yeah, it probably is. It said 21 to 27 months, but it probably wouldn't even make the 21.
Yeah, so but I mean, that's at least 15 months.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're in there for over a year.
Yeah, and that sucks.
Yeah.
So, but if that clears his debts and that gets him out of trouble, then I guess it's worth it, because I'm sure he was facing up to at least 20. So, sad businessman, but yeah, man, just say no. Just say no.
Yeah, that's a very succinct way to put it. Yeah. But I mean, fiscal responsibility, financial literacy, and the ability to, sidestep things that can put you into situations like that. I kind of lump all of that underneath the category of financial literacy, fiscal responsibility. And that is indeed a skill, man. It is not something that people inherently can do. You have to learn that. That's a skill. It's an ability that you have to develop. And unfortunately, that development is atrophied with these guys. It's unfortunate, man, but it is what it is. We'll see how it continues to play out.
I don't think I can give any shout outs on this one.
Yeah, it's crazy. Moving right along to somebody that I am very, very fond of. So we got Alicia Keys, who is talking about the good old boy network within the music industry and some of the problems with it. How even in 2026, there is still an apparatus within the music industry that maintains power and influence for certain individuals and is effective at being able to shield others out. So Alicia Keys is calling that out, and she's making a broader point about the importance of owning the rights to your creations. But she's basically saying, make no mistake about it, the music industry is definitely replete with a good old boy network. So this says Alicia Keys calls out music industry's good old boy network. Alicia Keys says the music industry still runs like a good old boy network, and she's calling out exactly who gets shut out. In a recent interview with Variety, the Grammy-winning artist zeroed in on one of the industry's biggest blind spots: women behind the scenes. Not just singers, but producers and engineers, the ones actually building the sound. According to Keys, they're still being locked out. All the incredible women working as engineers and producers are not given an open door. She said, pointing to the reality that women make up just a tiny percentage of the field. To combat the practice, Keys has been moving with intention, creating space where there isn't any. It's also why her advice to newcomers isn't about chasing fame, it's about keeping your rights. Think about how to become the owners of your own creations. Her music, meanwhile, has been carrying that same energy for years, even if it didn't start that way. Keys admitted that a lot of her so-called empowerment records came from the opposite place. Most of them were written because I wasn't feeling that strong. I had to give myself a pep talk to keep going. She also didn't hold back on the business side. Keys warned that the industry is full of people ready to take a cut, but not necessarily help artists build longevity. You deal with all these executives and lawyers who love to take their percentage and overcharge you, but they never say, how can we ensure you're here to stay? Outside the studio, Keys' personal life is moving on a completely different wavelength. She and Swizz Beatz just hit 15 years of marriage, celebrating what they both describe as a relationship built on communication and zero blowups. Swizz even said their kids have never seen them argue, a rare flex in any industry. So there is the wonderful, beautiful, lovely Alicia Keys talking about the good old boy network in the music industry. So what do you take from her comments?
It's definitely of course, right? But the problem, the part about where she's saying that, she's telling these people to keep their rights. I don't see how that's possible if you're signing a deal.
Right.
So at that point, the advice should be don't sign any record deals, because it sounds like if you don't have control over what you're doing, who's taking percentages out of your checks and all this other good stuff, you're releasing the music and stuff, like you lose all creative control and the cadence of what you want to release your music. You lose all of that. So what are you really? And sad, brutal truth. You're just a pump and dump. They don't care how talented you are. It's great that you are talented, but they don't care how talented you are, because last week we already covered that they can make anybody a star. You know, they just put the machine behind it and whoop-de-whoop, they got a #1 record. So they can do this with anybody. They did it with Milli Vanilli. Come on, man. Are we kidding?
Ice Spice, all of
Ice
that.
Spice.
Yeah.
Vanilla Ice. Like, this goes back decades. They'll take anybody. So they got this down to an algorithm. It helps that you are talented, though. So somebody like an Alicia Keys, who I don't really keep up if she's been making anything, you know, whatever lately or what have you, but somebody that's as talented as she is, it helps that she can actually make records and have a solid fan base and do tours and stuff, and they just keep shaving off the top every year. And so now that's why she's like, hey man, if I own my own stuff, I wouldn't be in this position feeling like I'm some employee. And it's like, well, Alicia, if you owned your own rights, I wouldn't know your name. So it comes with the territory. So I get it that she's, you know, she has the right to express herself, but at the same time, man, the message should be, I guess that is her telling her people don't sign no record deal.
Maybe she just didn't specifically say it that way.
Yeah, if that's what she's getting at, then yeah, that's what it is. You know, you should not sign these 360 deals or whatever. You know, I don't know if 360 was around when she initially signed her contract, but I'm sure she got read up or whatever. But I know they're taking money off the top of her tours, any merch, you know, all of that stuff, and it sucks, man. But yeah, that's my take on that. I did not know that it's been 15 years since they've been together.
I didn't realize that either. Yeah.
Is that a Mandela effect or something? Did I enter a wormhole? I feel like that just happened like 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
I know, it's crazy, bro. I didn't realize it's been that long either. But I mean, if you think about it, 15 years ago was 2011.
Bro, I was still in college 15 years ago.
No.
Graduating from college.
Yeah. You were years removed from college in 2011. 15 years ago was 2011.
Yeah, that's when I graduated. I graduated in 11.
Oh, okay. Well, oh yeah, you know what it is? I keep forgetting that I was up there first before y'all came up there. Yeah. But no, yeah, I thought the same thing crossed my mind. Like I didn't realize that that it's been that long. Yeah. But I mean, hey man, listen, I'm not necessarily encouraging divorces, but I see why Swiss Beats left his first wife.
Oh, come on, bro. What is that, man?
That is a trade up if I ever seen one.
So let me look up his first wife while you talk, man.
That is a trade up. That is a trade up if I ever seen one, man. So and I'm not saying that this first wife didn't look good. I'm just saying Alicia Keys is something different.
Let me be the judge of that.
But you know, I definitely hear what she's saying, because you know, me personally, and I forget when I made this transition, but like sometime around, I would say the mid to late 2000s, I transitioned from being a person who listened to music for the artists, and I moved over to being somebody who listened to music for producers. Mm-hmm. Like, because I found myself increasingly not liking many of the artists, right? So like, it was like, I don't like any of these people. I can't stand any of their, I don't like any of their music. It went from me liking a whole lot of these people to liking a very small percentage. But what I did like was a lot of the sounds. Mm-hmm. So at some point I made the switch from following music from an artist standpoint to following music from a producer standpoint. So I got to a point where I just became fans of certain producers and engineers. And it got to a point where anytime something would come out, I would read album credits. Like I got into the habit of reading album credits. And anytime I saw a producer that I liked, I would listen to the song regardless of the artist that was on it. Because my whole thing was, if it was a producer that I liked, chances are I was going to like the song regardless of the artist, because it's really the producers who are making these artists good, not the like these artists aren't really good like that. Like it's the producers that are making them, period. There's like a handful of them who sound good even if they don't got a crazy good beat behind them. But the vast majority of them are made by these producers. The producers are the real talent as far as I can tell. And when I got into the habit of doing that, I realized, oh, these are all males. So is that on purpose? Is there a reason for that? Like, why is it? Like, are men just naturally better at making beats? Like, I started to wonder because I noticed the trend is all I'm saying. Like,
yeah, I never thought about that. But
yeah, like I noticed the trend of all these producers that I liked who were making these beats and these engineers, it was all men. And even if it was a group of producers like, 808 Mafia or Justice League or The Incredibles, they were groups all comprised of men, all of them. So I wondered, like, is there a reason for that? Is there something specific? Like, why is that? And so hearing Alicia Keys talk like this, like I'm reticent to accept the idea that women can't be producers. Like, I'm not going to buy into that idea. Because I don't think that being a good producer is a genetic predisposition. I mean, just thinking about it logically, I can't really, I don't see how that can be the case. So I'm left to reach no conclusion other than women are just not being, it's probably a circular logic of like, it's a male dominated field, that being music and like music engineering and production. So it's already a male dominated field. There's less women. And so by the merit of that, there's less women going around. So there's less women who are in the pipeline. And so because statistically there are less women in the pipeline, you combine that with the cabal, and then what you have as a result on the back end is women not being let in or women not being a part of it. So it's probably a combination of both. It's probably not one more than the other. It's probably both of those elements conspiring, concurrently to yield the byproduct of there being less women in the production and engineering space. But I did notice that at some point, like, none of these individuals are females that make these beats. None of them. So I hear where she's coming from with that, because I do think that the proof is in the pudding with that. Now, I don't follow it as much now as I used to. So for all I know, we can have a bunch of women who are in the game making beats and doing engineering work and all that. I'm not exactly sure at this point because I'm not as intimately familiar, because I don't follow it as closely. But I can certainly attest to the fact that in my heyday, when I was really on top of the music and I was really following like production work, it was an all male room. So if I am going to buy what she's selling in terms of women not being able to flourish in that space, I have to at least acknowledge that there may be some credence to that based upon my own personal experience with following producers in this space. Now, what's the solution to that? Honestly, I look at it kind of the way I look at professional sports. Like, you have these race baiters in the media who will look at professional sports leagues, in particular the NFL, and they will make the case that the NFL is intentionally racially biased, that the NFL is intentionally trying to keep Black people out of coaching and executive positions. I don't really think that that's the case. What I think is happening is there's just not enough Black people in the pipeline. So what has to happen first is there needs to be a commensurate amount of Black people in the pipeline in order for you to feed the feeder system of the coaching and executive ranks. And right now, because of the historical significance of the league, we're not at a point in which there is a commensurate amount of Black people in the pipeline. But once you have that commensurate amount of Black people in the pipeline, and you still see that same disparity in terms of hirings and all of that good stuff, then at that point you can make the case that there's some sort of intentional racist stuff going on. Mm-hmm. But right now, I don't think that we have a commensurate enough amount of people in the pipeline. Now, the lack of that commensurate amount of people in the pipeline could very well be due to historical institutional discrimination. Mm-hmm. But I personally think that we have moved beyond that legally, and just from a legal standpoint, I do think that we move beyond that. But it takes several generations of catch up in order for it to be equal in that regard. Mm-hmm. And so it's easy for you to look at the optics and say, oh, the NFL is this and the NFL is that, when really what I think is happening is there's less Black people in the pipeline. You need more people in the pipeline. You do. Same thing with college football. You need more Black coaches in the pipeline. And there's just not enough of them because it takes however many it takes several generations, decades. It takes 50, 60, 70, 100 years it's going to take before you get to a point where there's enough people in the pipeline for you to be able to reasonably make that assertion. And if the music industry is functioning the same, if the cabal that is the music industrial complex is even remotely close to the cabal that is the sports entertainment industrial complex, then they're afflicted with the same problem. And there's going to just take more people in the pipeline coming up the ranks in order for us to be able to reasonably make the assertion that they're being purposefully left out. But it's going to take people entering into the pipeline first. And until that happens, and furthermore, on the point about ownership and ownership being the key to freedom, I agree with that. But to your point, ownership can't be had if you're an employee. So if you're not somebody who's going to start your own record label or create your own studio where you are completely independent and you're able to make beats unencumbered by, the infrastructure of a music label or a recording studio that's owned by another entity, then in some capacity, you're not going to have the freedom to be able to move however you want. So the only way that you can truly make that happen is, to your point, you're not signing any deals or not signing any rights over by being an employee of any sort. But if a lot of these people are trying to be engineers and they're just trying to, earn that income, earn the checks and get their foot in the door, and they just want to make a name for themselves as a producer in the game, and the easiest pathway to being able to do that is becoming a contracted member of Grand Hustle or Warner Music or Def Jam or whomever, then, you're going to enter into the cabal at that point. You're becoming a part of that industrial complex, and you're not going to have all your rights at that point. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have to make the decision, choose to sacrifice the stability of that infrastructure in lieu of going your own way so that you're not owned, or prioritize the stability and sacrifice going your own way. And as a result of that, you would be owned in some capacity. So I think she was touching on multiple things going on at the same time with that. Mm-hmm. She talks about women not being a part of it, but also the ownership aspect of the conversation. Mm-hmm. I think that those are two related situations, but they're not exactly one and the same. And I hear where she's coming from, though, because when I was listening to music following producers, none of them were women. And I don't believe that there's a such thing as coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence. Everything in life happens for a reason. I don't believe in coincidence. So I don't think it's a coincidence that none of the producers that I was listening to were women. There's a reason for that. So, of course, we can speculate as to the reasons why. She believes it's because they were being intentionally left out, which sounds a lot like people complaining that the NFL intentionally leaves out Black coaches. I'm pretty sure the truth is somewhere in the middle. But I don't think that she's entirely off base in saying that.
I never thought about that. I never thought, I was like, oh, why is there any female producers? I just automatically assumed that they're not interested. It's like, have you seen a female sanitation worker, just hanging off the back? I have once here or there, but they're rare. That job's available and it pays pretty good, right? They don't want to do it. That's just what I thought hip hop was. Hip hop production. That's what I thought. They just didn't want to do it. Or as you got to talking and I'm thinking about it, here I go with my racism. I'm sitting here going, but are they any good though? I'm not trying to say that. I'm not trying to say that they're not. Hold on. Listen, hear me out, y'all. I'm like, damn. I'm not saying women aren't funny. I've met some funny women in my life. There's some women I could be around and I'm laughing the whole time. We're talking and laughing the whole time. So I'm not saying that women aren't funny. But when it comes to like stand-up comedians, that's a different type of funny. That's like a different thing. Like you're a comedian. And I'm not saying female comedians aren't funny. They just don't land with me for whatever reason. Not all of them. And I think it's kind of like that. I'm not saying that female WNBA players can't hoop. They can. They can go to some LA Fitnesses and run it. Okay. But there's some LA Fitnesses that they might be more competitive than they thought it would be. But that's not to say that they can't hoop. I think that there's certain things that when women do them, that it's not hitting the same chord of expectations. That doesn't mean that it's not good. It's just that they're doing it like a woman would do it. Oh, what a racist. I'm not trying to.
Sex is not racist.
I know, but I think that's what I'm saying. But that's I think that there's stuff that women can do that men have no right to be doing. Okay. So there's some form of there's some dance out there that women can do, like interpretive dance, like spiritual dance, other types of dance, just dance in general for the most part. I'm not saying that men can't dance. I think there's certain dances that men should do. And then I think there's certain dances men shouldn't do.
This is a very, this is a very interesting topic for another video.
I understand it.
How do we break some of this stuff? Because I hear exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Like, how do we break some of this down? Because it's like, where do you draw the line between because I said, there is no genetic predisposition to being good at being a music producer, but is there? The logical part of my brain says there isn't, because I can't compute where there would be, but is there?
Well, I think genre specific. So I'm not saying that they can't get in the game. I think it has to be something. There's something in hip hop, at least, and especially right now, where the beat is this aggressive, heavy thing. That's like having pads on and smacking.
Yeah, the beat of a hip hop beat is what you're basically saying is hip hop beats are, and I know that this might sound weird, but hip hop beats are inherently masculine.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
That's how I feel about there are other things that I feel that way about. Even though women do them, I feel as though it's inherently masculine. Like basketball, yes, there's a WNBA and women play basketball and all of that good stuff. And I'm not trying to take anything away, but I also believe that it's weird for me to say this because I can't really quantify it, but I feel like basketball is inherently masculine. Yeah. And I think, the reasons why I think that is because that's why in basketball, more than any other sport, you find the vast majority of what's the right way for me to put this?
A large amount.
more than any other sport that women participate in, basketball is where you find the majority of women who traverse the sexual spectrum.
Yeah, stud buds.
Yeah, I don't think that's a coincidence. I kind of feel like part of the reason for that is basketball, despite women can play it, and I'm cool with the WNBA. I'm good. I watch games here or there. My mom likes it. I watch games with her. I'm not trying to take anything away from it. Women can play it, but at the same time, do I think basketball is an inherently masculine sport? Yes, I do. And I don't feel the same way about softball or tennis. Like, and I think that if you look at tennis, the majority, I would say, even again, can I quantify this? No, but I'll be watching tennis too, and I don't think it's a stretch to say that the majority of the women who are professional tennis players are straight. That to me correlates to tennis not being an inherently masculine sport. So I hear what you're saying is what I'm trying to say. Like, I kind of feel like music production may fall into that category, and it's convenient to be like, oh, they're trying to shut women out. When really it's maybe like, well, maybe this is just one of those areas where it's like there's a delineation based upon a natural inclination based upon being a man versus being a woman. And I already talked about how men and women are fundamentally different. We're not the same. And there's other things too, like how many female coders do you know? Like how many female website developers do you know? They exist. I've met plenty of them. The vast majority of them are men. I don't think that's a coincidence. No one's saying, hey, woman, you're not allowed to do this. There's a reason for that. Men's brains compositions lend themselves to that particular skill set, I would say.
I would agree.
Same thing with being a video game developer.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's just like, I think that's just what happens. That certain, particular genders gravitate towards particular things. And I think specifically for hip hop, which is predominantly what I listen to, like I said, and I like aggressive stuff. I like my mellow stuff too, but I like obnoxious 808s and stuff. And guys are obnoxious and aggressive. It's like football, So it's kind of like that. So I'm not saying that a woman can't make a hip hop beat. She's probably got some aggression to her, and that's to each her own.
Right.
That's her thing. She probably look like a stud bud, and that's okay. Or Manny Fresh, and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? But to be fair, Alicia's in the realm of R&B, soul, and all that other stuff, so she should see more representation. I would argue that would better suit a woman because that's kind of what they already gravitate towards anyway. Is the more soulful, soul street type of stuff or whatever. So if they're producing in that field, I'm not saying that they can't do that, but I think that the 808 aggressive thing is kind of like football and basketball.
Yeah,
that was a good way of putting it. And I think tennis is one of the more free, open type of things. But I can't watch men's tennis. I just cannot watch it. It's just I'm like watching men's volleyball. I'm not watching. Are you kidding me? I'm watching men playing volleyball. What I got going on?
There you go. Right.
It's Saturday morning. I'm watching men play volleyball. I'm sick.
Yeah.
So, but if I'm sitting there and it's you know what I'm saying? Brazil is taking on Argentina and women's volleyball.
Yeah,
that's a Saturday morning for you. so I think that there's a natural stratification in some of these fields, and to holler that it's not equality in some of these, I think that's ignoring the natural stratification.
Sure. Yeah.
So but that did go somewhere that I didn't anticipate. But I do agree with you that does need more exploration, and people got to be more honest with this conversation as well.
Yeah,
because I think we were really honest right there. I agree. Think more people need to have that honesty.
Yeah, well, that's what people want to do. That, and again, this takes me back to what we talked about. What was it? 2 topics ago. Mm-hmm. Like we really have to stop. Mm-hmm. We really have to stop it with this false equivocation of men and women. Like it has to stop. It does, because that's why we need all of these explanations for stuff. That's why we have to understand, why aren't more women doing this? Why aren't more men doing this? Oh, they're being left out. Oral description. Like at the root, the reason why we're doing this and we engage in these exercises is because collectively we have bought into this idea that men and women are the same. and it's such a false pretense. We're not the same. So right down the line, that stratification that you spoke of, like the reason that is in existence is because we are fundamentally not the same. And due to us fundamentally not being the same, there are going to be certain things that, due to our diametrically opposed existences, we're going to gravitate towards because of a natural inclination. And it's hard to say that because I can't quantify it. I can't quantify anything like that with hard factual evidence other than to just anecdotally say that's my observation and that's how I feel. But we all see it. Like, I agree with you. Like, we all see this kind of stuff. Like, there's a reason why there aren't as many women who are video game developers. There's a reason why there aren't as many women who are coders, who are website developers. Like, there aren't as many women who are working in these companies in Silicon Valley. I don't think it's because they're being shut out. I think we naturally gravitate towards what we're naturally inclined to. Agreed. And, we really got to stop thinking that we're all the same, man. I'm going to keep beating on that dead horse, but it's the truth. It's the truth. So, and it's weird, like, because I started off saying, why aren't more women producers? But the more that I thought about it after you started talking, like, yeah, like that could be the reason why.
I think so.
And to me, it's no different than like how I see basketball. Like, yeah, there's women playing basketball. It's a masculine sport in a way that tennis isn't, in a way that softball and volleyball aren't. It's just not. In a way that golf isn't. There's a whole LPGA tour, women playing on the LPGA. I bet you the vast majority of those women are heterosexual.
Yeah.
And there's a correlation there, man. Nothing is a coincidence. Right. Nothing is a coincidence.
And by the way, the reason why you're bringing up heterosexual is because what you're saying, because some people going, what are you trying to say?
Yeah.
And what he's saying is, if you're a female and you're so let's stay with female. If you're a female doing something that is masculine,
yes,
then you're going to be in that frame.
Yes.
And by being in your masculine frame, it's a natural thing to want to be with a woman.
There's a higher likelihood. Yes. Yes.
Now, if there's a guy out here and he's, doing the ballet stuff, he's doing all that, he cheerleading, doing all that stuff. He's doing some stuff that's kind of feminine. All right. And so he's more in his feminine frame. So if he likes to, do his thing, then at that point, it's like, okay, well, he's in a physical frame lifestyle. So no wonder why he's with the same sex situation. So it's not a situation of, just because you can't be. No, it's like, no, it's a masculine frame. So you got to be in that frame to be doing that like that.
Correct. I am not being homophobic.
Hey, we got to clear the air.
We do. I agree. But it's like people observe this stuff, but because we're always trying to
be politically correct.
Yeah, we're always trying to look for the injustice. And it's just like, nah, man, we naturally do certain things and other people don't, man. Like comic book artists. I'm pretty sure there's far more men who are comic book artists or, comic book illustrators than women. Like it just is what it is, man. Like there's more guys. It is what it is, man. I said my piece, but I hear where she's coming from. I get it, but at the same time, you need more individuals in the pipeline in order to be able to, I think, accurately make that assertion. But moreover, we really could just be looking at a situation where people gravitate towards what they're naturally inclined to. And we see it all the time, all throughout life. We all see it, we notice it. And I guess we just ignore it or try to create explanations for it when sometimes it's just as simple as men do these things and women do these things.
Right.
Talk to an anthropologist or some sort of, social psychologist to get into the weeds with why it is that way. But we all see it, and that's the way it plays out.
Yeah, man. Hey, so shout out to Alicia Keys. Shout out to Swiss Beats. And I looked at his Swiss Beats' first wife. No comment there. And that's not to say that she's not, you know what I'm saying? She who she is, you know what I'm saying? But no comment about that. Shout out to her. You know what I'm saying? Everybody doing it big out here.
Hey, listen, I was not saying that she looks or whatever. I was
Yeah,
just
I didn't say
saying,
that either. So
I
I'm
was just
saying.
saying I see why he would make the decision. That's all I was saying.
Burn, 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 burn. And shout out to women's volleyball too, man.
Yeah. Yeah, shouts out to Swiss Beats, man. I don't like the way he be always talking on his songs, but shouts out to Swiss Beats, man. And now we get into DaBaby, who believes that he is on the same level as Drake, J. Cole, and Kendrick Lamar. And furthermore, he doesn't believe that this is bravado that you have to tell yourself in order to gain confidence. He truly believes that this is objectively true. He believes that it is an objective fact, that it isn't him hyping himself up. It isn't him having irrational confidence. It isn't him having irrational confidence. He just legitimately believes he's on the same level as those guys. DaBaby says he's on the same level as Drake, J. Cole, and Kendrick Lamar. I'm the best. DaBaby is making it clear he sees himself in hip hop's top tier, and he's not softening that stance. During a recent interview with Nadeska Alexis, the Charlotte rapper doubled down on comparisons to Drake, J. Cole, and Kendrick Lamar. Alexis pointed directly to his song Beneficial, where he raps, "Gotta put me there with Cole, Kendrick, and Drake." Baby noted that while many artists make similar claims, not all truly believe it. 1,000%, 1,000%. I always say I'm the best MFing rapper, he explained. A lot of people say they the best, but I really mean that. I'm better than these N-words. He acknowledged that self-belief is common in rap, but emphasized that his mindset goes beyond standard bravado. I don't want it to come off like the cliche thing, like you should feel like you're best, like you're the best too. That's not what I'm saying. I feel like I have the ability to go anywhere musically. According to DaBaby, his confidence is rooted in skill more than status. If we strip everything away and just go back to being in front of a microphone, I can get in there with the best of them. While the comments come off as competitive, he also framed them as part of a larger goal. DaBaby said putting that belief out publicly and backing it up with music is key to eventually sharing space with those artists. I take me saying that type of stuff and then putting it on display for those doors to open, he said, adding that he would welcome collaborations with Drake, Cole, and Kendrick. He also pointed to his freestyle appearances and respect from hip-hop veterans as validation of his claims. So, do you agree with Mr. DaBaby that he is on the same level as the aforementioned big three?
Nah, I can't get with that. I can't get with that. And I'm one of the biggest Drake haters out there. He's not even better than Drake. All right. So he's not comparable to Drake. So the answer is no. DaBaby is in the same tier as Lil Baby. He's probably a tier below Lil Baby. But Lil Baby has fallen off with the streets. I mean, they are not co-signing Lil Baby right now. So they're probably on the same tier. So yeah, I can't get with that. I think that those three are at the top for their own individual reasons. Like, I feel like each one, like Kendrick, Drake, and J. Cole, even though J. Cole did what he did during the beef situation, there's still a shadow respect that a lot of people have for him, because people still respect him, even though that went down the way it did. And putting them all in tier one, whether you want to stratify that, that's up to you. But I would put all them up in tier one because they all get the same level of respect, I would say. But then after that, it's a precipitous drop off.
Yeah.
You know, I know these young people put NBA YoungBoy, you know, up in their thing or whatever, but I would say he's by himself on tier two, and then everybody else is just everybody else. I don't know what's going on. And DaBaby is part of the slop, the hip hop slop. When I first heard him, I was like, because at the time his flow was unique. It was very consistent and it sound thought out. And at that time I was like, wow, this is the first time in a while that I've heard somebody with their own kind of way of handling a beat. But as I'm trying to listen to it, because he's saying stuff kinda. as I'm watching this, I'm trying to be a fan of this guy. So I'm looking at the video after video, and I go, I don't like this person. There's something about this guy. I just don't like him. And so his lyrics didn't help. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to force myself to enjoy this. I don't like this guy. So technically, can he rap? Technically, yeah. But to me, that's no different than, you know, tween, step back.
Yeah.
Hezzy.
Yeah, he's an analytics rapper. He's an analytics guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I got time. Moneyball rap. I ain't got time for that. And he don't change his flow at all. The people at the top, the people that he mentioned at the top, they all got different styles, flows. They can get on different kind of beats, have different type of whatever. Slow it down, speed it up, get very lyrical if they need to, dumb it down if they have to. DaBaby is stuck on dumb. He's stuck on that same flow, and he ain't got no range. So technically, when it comes to, hey man, you know, the breath control, the ability to flow, the ability to be saying all of these things that sound fly and fancy, he can do all of that. But that's not tier one. Do you have the ability to be as good as tier one? Technically, rap wise, yeah. But there's a lot of guys that have the techniques that could be good enough to be number one, but everybody isn't. And that's the other thing that comes with being an artist and a performer, that personality that comes through in a song that a lot of people can resonate with. Who resonates with DaBaby? I know people do, but who is that guy? You know? Listen, if some of y'all here listen to DaBaby, let me know. Tell me what I'm missing. Okay? This guy's, he's no Renaissance man. All right. He's not burning down the yard with his bars. He's not. I've seen him actually do freestyle. The guy can rap, but what does that mean?
I think that's what he's hanging his hat on.
Yeah, that he can rap.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if he wants to hang his hat on dribble, tween, step back, then so be it. But I think there's more to basketball than that. And in order to be a real hooper, a tier one hooper, you got to have more in your game than that. You're going to have to be clutch. You're going to have to show me how you perform in tight situations. You know, you have to show me that you're a durable player, that your best ability is your availability. But this guy disappears, does a this or does a that, you know, in trouble here. You know, DaBaby's a mess. So I can't go for that. Tier one is an elite place, and he ain't there. So I would have to disagree. But what are your thoughts on DaBaby saying that he's just as good as the top three, J. Cole, Kendrick, and Drake? What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I think he's looking at it from a technical standpoint. You know, and anybody who agrees with that is, you know, a part of the crowd that says Paul George is, you know, one of the best players in the league.
Which I don't understand. I never
understood. It's a part of that same type of narrative because, you know, Paul George has the height and the skill set, but, you know, holistically, does it translate to being a true game changer from the standpoint of you being able to be the best player on a championship team? No. So yeah, I hear where you're coming from. I agree. It's all about how you define what makes somebody good. In his mind, I think what he's saying is lyrically, bars wise, skills wise, flow wise, technically, I'm right up there with those guys. Therefore, I should be thought of in the same breath. Yeah. But those guys have also produced bodies of work that go beyond their technical skill sets. Yeah. And that's the difference. It's about an amalgamation of several different factors. It's not just your skill. You know, the reason why Jay-Z in his prime was what he was because in addition to being good at rapping, he also was backed by, at the time, I would say, the best production value in the game when you think about the combination of people like Pharrell, and Kanye and Just Blaze.
And Timberland,
right?
whatever you wanted.
And Timberland, right? Yeah. So when you got all that and you working behind all of that, and you're good at rapping, and you're able to put albums together like the Blueprint and the Black Album, hence you have somebody who's thought of as one of the greatest of all time, right?
Yeah.
And even though I don't like Drake much like yourself, I know enough to know that a lot of people resonate with a lot of these solo albums that Drake be putting out. That
Right.
Certified Lover thing and the Views, in particular the Views one, really. A lot of people think very highly of that Views album. And the mixtape stuff, like If You're Reading This Is Too Late, and the other one, More Life. So like, I don't like Drake like that, but I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the impact of that stuff. And the reason why those things had an impact, even though Drake is technically skilled, it was also because of the subject matter of the songs and the production value and just the quality of the music overall. It just wasn't about him being able to get on a mic and just spit bars all day.
Right.
And, you know, same thing with J. Cole with Forest Hills Drive, and Kendrick with To Pimp a Butterfly and Good Kid, Mad City. Like, it's more than just, oh, I'm finna get on this microphone and just wreck shop with these freestyles. Like, it's an amalgamation of several different factors. And so I think he's trying to pigeonhole himself into it, but I think he knows he's not there. That's why he has to say that. Like, if you were really there, you wouldn't have to say that. He's well aware that he's not viewed in that light. Therefore, he has to say these things to try to bring truth to power. You know, but no, he ain't there. DaBaby's like Joe Johnson. You know, Joe Johnson.
I can't even give him that, bro.
He might not be that good, but what I'm saying is, from a standpoint
of technicality,
it's the way DaBaby looks at things. So not necessarily saying DaBaby is Joe Johnson, but DaBaby's worldview, based upon what we saw in this article, is similar to the way I looked at Joe Johnson, which is Joe Johnson is a guy who in his prime, he was 6'9", he could dribble, pass, and shoot. Technically, there were no holes in Joe Johnson's game.
That's fair.
If Joe Johnson if Joe Johnson had Kobe's intangibles, Joe Johnson would have been a superstar best player on a championship team.
I agree.
Joe Johnson didn't have Kobe's intangibles, though. So as a result, what you get is guy who can do everything.
You get buckets.
Yeah, he's a guy who can do everything, but he's a role player. He's a high-end, high-level role player. And that's how I see DaBaby. He's a high-level. Really, DaBaby ain't even high-end to me. Baby is just a role player.
Yeah.
And he's a skilled role player. He can do stuff, but he's a skilled role player. That's it. So, you know, I can understand somebody having irrational confidence, but I don't agree with this take at all. And to be honest with you, I am not familiar with DaBaby's music, but I don't have to be. I see the way his music resonates, and it does not resonate with the same level of impact as those other guys. No. So there's no way that I could put him on that same level, even if he thinks he's as skilled as them.
He just got to change up the flow. I'm tired of it, because when he first came out with it, it was somewhat unique. You know, it had a little double time thing to it, like, you know, what Migos and other stuff was doing, but you know, his was slightly different. He just never deviated from it. Every song sounds the same. Every verse sounds the same if it's on a feature, and it's annoying. Because I know I don't know exactly what he's gonna say, but when he said what he said, I go, yeah, that's something that he would say. It's dumb. It's airhead rap too. So it's like, yeah, bro, you got the technique down as far as how you can flow and all of these things. Like, but what are you really saying for real? He's not saying anything. Yeah. Like, at least with NBA Youngboy, he resonates with these kids because he's actually saying stuff that these kids are going through.
Yeah.
And the baby don't talk about anything. I mean, it's bravado rap that don't land. It's only about DaBaby, how gangster he is, how much money he get. And I know a lot of rappers that do that, but they also find a way to make things that the listener can connect with. Not with him. It's all about him worship. It's DaBaby and nothing else. So at least with NBA Youngboy, he says stuff that's so relatable that these young people go, I know exactly what he's talking about. And that's why his fan base is what it is, NBA Youngboy. compared to DaBaby. Everybody knows that this guy is just a one-trick pony. So, yeah, I agree with you, man. You know, what's understood ain't got to be explained. And he came in the room hollering that, hey, I belong at that table over there. Yes, sir. So can you please step away, please? So, yeah, not buying it.
Yeah, I'm not buying it either, man. Sorry, he's gonna have to take a seat on this one. He is not in that he is not in that class to me. I am not like when I say I'm not familiar with DaBaby's music, I'm talking about like album cuts and stuff like that.
I
like,
can't tell you.
Yeah, I'm not sitting down and streaming a whole DaBaby album. Like I'll put a pin in my eardrum.
Your IQ would drop.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
Yeah. I would literally, I would just as soon stick a needle in my eardrum before I did that. So but again, like I said, I don't need to be intimately familiar. I am well aware of the songs that I have heard. I'm well aware of the songs that do get played as singles. His collaborative work, it's not the same. He is not on that level. So
not close. Sorry.
It is what it is, man. But he's gonna have to try again. Well. That does it for us, everybody, man. Another great stream in the books. Another fantastic collection of topics. I hope everybody enjoyed this. And if you're checking out this video independently, I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. If this is your first time checking us out, you can find me on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS. Follow Conscious Approach on Instagram and TikTok, both at Con Approach. CONAPPROACH, and subscribe to the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify. Other than that, I always like to say, everybody, don't be a group thinker, have a mind of your own, think for yourself. And until next time, we will catch you on the flip side.
And the name is Dogon SS. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS, on YouTube, DraftKings, MySpace, Meta, Facebook, Twitter. Hey man, if there's a social media platform, Dogon_SS is also out there. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow, and all that good jazz. All right. And as JV Wynn said, man, hey, thank y'all for watching, man. Because without y'all, there is no us out here on the weekly dropping these jewels like a bankroll. All right. So we greatly appreciate you all for watching, listening, consciously subscribing, consciously leaving comments, because man, we be dropping them facts, man. So don't be too high, don't be too low, keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it player, and don't let anybody get you off your pivot. So until next week, ladies and gentlemen, still got more rings than Robert Ory, and we'll catch y'all next week, y'all.
Yeah, shouts out to Social Calm on the chat. Very much appreciate you for checking us out. We really appreciate that. But yeah, y'all, that is it. We'll holler at y'all next time. We'll see you later. Peace.
Ain't nobody to shout out this week, bro. We done. Dunzo.